So it all starts on a rainy night in front of this creepy abandoned Chinese martial arts academy, and there's this whole squad of dudes in black robes showing up, asking if anyone's home. They spot this dirty little kid just staring back at them. One guy with red eyes is thinking, "What's a random kid doing here?" But surprisingly, he's respectful, calling him young master and asking if they can crash there for the night. Our boy is confused as hell because grown men are showing him actual respect, which never happens to kids. He figures they think he's a caretaker, so he plays along, telling them, "Yeah, sure, I've been squatting here for years. Pick any spot, just stay away from my pavilion." They thank him like he's doing them a massive favor. As they walk off, our boy notices Tang written on their robes, wondering what clan they're from. But honestly, he's got more important things to worry about, like feeding his kids. The vibe switches as he runs into his pavilion, yelling, "Dinner time, everyone." He opens a pot, and plot twist, there are no human children, just a tiny cricket-like insect. Then he opens another pot, a black earth tiger tarantula native to China that grows up to 20 centimeters with sick black tiger stripes. He feeds it with chopsticks, calling it Blackie, saying he couldn't survive without these little guys. He's amazed this spider that used to be fingernail size has already molted twice and gotten huge. After Blackie eats, he opens a drawer in it, an orange lizard with white stripes, and folks, now it's time for some backstory so we can know why this waste of oxygen has weird kinks. Our boy thinks about his past life, saying how these creatures were impossible to get because he couldn't import them, but now they're everywhere. His whole life revolves around watching these creatures, and honestly, he's living his best life, or at least that's what he thinks. But as he's feeding the gecko, this ungrateful bastard bites him and won't let go. He's shaking his hand, and this triggers a flashback. Turns out, before ending up in this kid's body, our boy was a streamer, not just any streamer, but one with 1 million subscribers. He went by Spicy Fabry and was a professional biologist specializing in venomous insects and animals, until his 1 million subscriber celebration stream where he decided to feature the 10 most dangerous vipers in the world, the crown jewel, the black mamba, the most aggressive snake out there. He traveled to Africa to find one, and during the stream he's explaining how difficult it is to locate, saying he needs a break. His chat's supportive, but then viewers start spamming warnings that the black mamba might already be in his house, and they were right. The snake was chilling on top of his refrigerator the whole time. During the live stream, it strikes and bites him. Game over. Our boy died on camera. Back in the present, he's frowning about that messed up death. When there's a knock, it's one of the elderly guys inviting him to dinner. At first, our boy is like, "Dude, go away. Let me play with my animals." But then he mentions they caught a deer. As he heard that, our boy's eyes lit up because he loves meat, and up until now, he's only been eating snake and lizard meat. He accepts instantly and joins them outside, where they've got a bonfire with a deer roasting. The elder notices him drooling and says the deer needs more time, and then asks if he can ask him a question. The elder asks if he lives alone and how old he is. Our boy's not sure, 14 or 15 maybe. The elder is like, "Don't you know how old you are?" Hearing that, our boy fumbles and makes up a story about hitting his head and not remembering much, and then changes the topic and tells him how he stays alone, saying he's got no special talents, just catches snakes and sells their skins to survive. The elder's shocked he's doing something so dangerous, but our boy shrugs, saying he's used to it. Just then, the old man brings cooked meat, and when our boy bites into it, you can see pure happiness on his face. The old men watch with warm smiles and tell him to keep eating, while they explain they're searching for something, asking if he's seen anything unusual. The old man then looks at the other dude and says they should tell him the truth since they owe it to the kid and he probably won't understand anyway. The patriarch agrees, turns to our boy, and tells him that they're looking for a blue spot centipede, adding how it's large enough that it could even swallow our boy whole. Hearing that, our boy is surprised, so now our boy is questioning everything. Did I travel back in time or get isekai'd into a completely different world? Seeing that our boy had gone silent, the old man thinks that our boy is terrified and tells him not to be afraid, as they are here to catch that bastard. Our boy thinks maybe they want it as a pet, which confuses the elders. The white-haired elder bursts out laughing at the idea, saying how it's an interesting idea but they need it for medicine. Now our boy's really confused. At first he thought these guys might be rebels. Now he's wondering if they're into illegal black market stuff. He asks how centipedes can be medicinal. The white-haired elder gets serious, explaining his granddaughter is critically ill and the centipede's inner core is the only thing that can save her life. Just then, the other dude turns to our boy, saying how for his daughter he's willing to try anything. To our boy, it seems like desperate parents willing to try anything, though he doubts centipedes work as medicine. But he understands parents will go to insane lengths for their kids. Feeling sympathy for the dying girl and grateful for the meat, he decides to help them. He starts talking about centipedes and the patriarch immediately asks if he's seen it. Our boy says no, but explains that while he might not know what a blue spot centipede is specifically, he might know where to find one. Because despite dying from a snake bite, Spicy Fabry was an absolute expert on venomous creatures. Out of Earth's estimated 8.7 million species, about 20,000 are venomous, and this man had knowledge of every single one. When it came to venomous animals, Spicy Fabry was basically a walking Wikipedia page. So our boy starts flipping through his brain, scanning all his centipede facts. Then boom, lightbulb moment. He tells the elders he might know where this thing's hiding, and these old dudes immediately jump up like, yo, for real? But before spilling the tea, our boy asks what places they've already checked. Turns out these guys have been running around north and east of the academy, mostly during the day, focusing on the riverside up north after hearing that our boy is like, yeah, no wonder you couldn't find it. The elders confused as hell, asking what he means by no wonder. So our boy drops some knowledge on them. He explains that centipedes are cold-blooded little freaks that need the right temperature and humidity to survive. But unlike most bugs that are basically waterproof, centipedes have these pores in their shells that make them terrible at staying dry. So despite what everyone thinks, these things hate being soaked. They need humidity but can't stand getting wet, yet they also can't survive without water nearby. It's this whole complicated relationship. Because of all that BS, the blue spot centipede isn't going to be chilling in some jungle or by the river. The elders are shook because they've always assumed centipedes loved hiding in rotting wood and wet cracks. Our boy's like, yeah, the tiny ones do, but we're hunting a big boy here. Large centipedes can't just vibe in jungles or by river rocks because there's nowhere for something that massive to hide. The elders look at each other, nodding like, damn, that makes sense. They ask where they should actually search, and one even promises a fat reward if they find this thing where our boy says it'll be. Our boy smiles and points west, telling them to check the Rocky Mountains over there. Centipedes love napping under warm rocks during the day and come out at night. Cut to a few days later at the Rocky Mountains. The patriarch is standing on top of a rock looking stressed as hell. One of his guys walks up, suggesting maybe the kid was wrong about this whole thing. The patriarch has had enough and decides to call it quits for the day, ordering the signal arrow to gather everyone back. As the arrow shoots up, the men gather around a bonfire. They're dead tired but still hoping the kid knew what he was talking about. They're wondering why this centipede is so damn impossible to find, but they still believe in the boy's big brain energy. Meanwhile, the boss man just stares at the fire, not saying anything for a while. Eventually, he starts talking about his daughter, Hua Yan. Apparently, she's the most talented person in the Tang family's entire history. He's basically asking God why he's letting her suffer like this. Suddenly, someone shouts that the Grand Patriarch is back. That's the white-haired elder dude. By the way, the Patriarch welcomes him, and everyone gathers around. The Grand Patriarch asks if he also struck out finding the centipede. The Patriarch confirms he got nothing. When he asks if the Grand Patriarch had the same luck, the old man nods and drops a bombshell. Hua Yan has 3 months left to live, max, and he seriously doubts they can find this thing in just 10 days. The Patriarch suggests checking south tomorrow since they haven't looked there yet. The Grand Patriarch agrees, mentioning how weird it is they haven't found any traces. This makes something click in the Patriarch's brain. He starts laughing, saying he can't believe he missed something so obvious, and then he says how they're actually in the right place. The Patriarch's confused, asking what the Grand Patriarch noticed. The old man says he didn't notice anything and that's the point. The lack of traces means it's there. He asks if the Patriarch has seen any animal life in the past 3 days. The Patriarch admits he hasn't seen any droppings, claw marks, or anything. That's when it all clicks. The Grand Patriarch explains it's weird not to find any animal signs on such a huge mountain. The Patriarch realizes they might be dealing with an apex predator that owns this whole territory. The Grand Patriarch suspects other animals either ran for their lives or became dinner. He pats the Patriarch's shoulder, assuring him the blue spot centipede is definitely here. They're feeling hopeful about saving Hua Yan, and the Patriarch has this whole emotional dad moment going on. Then suddenly, the ground starts shaking, and the area around the bonfire begins crumbling, and then it starts rising. Everyone's losing their minds trying to figure out what's happening when a massive limb bursts from the ground. Then another. They're pointing at this nightmare fuel as it surfaces, absolutely terrified. Even the Grand Patriarch looks shook, and this dude's probably seen everything. After that, several more limbs emerge. It's the blue spot centipede, and this thing is massive. Back at the academy, our boy's grumbling about all the noise. He's wondering just how huge this centipede is to be making that much racket from miles away. He's complaining that he just told them where to look, and these idiots are basically nuking the entire mountain. But then his inner bug nerd takes over. He's genuinely hyped about the idea of a centipede big enough to swallow him whole. Being a fanboy of venomous creatures, he's thinking he'd low-key love to see it. Meanwhile, back at Rocky Mountain, things have calmed down. They actually beat the blue spot centipede, though several dudes got messed up in the fight. They managed to grab the core, this small blue gem that's now safely chilling in a wooden box. The old man is literally crying tears of joy because they can finally save Hua Yan. The Patriarch tells his dad to head to Soryong first to get the injured warriors treated. The Grand Patriarch is confused, Shouldn't they rush back to Hawaiian ASAP? The patriarch drops some wisdom. Grudges are written in blood, but favors are carved in stone. This is their way of life. Translation: they still owe people, and they don't forget their debts. The Grand Patriarch has this oh shit moment. He admits he almost screwed up by tunnel visioning on Hawaiian. He agrees they need to properly thank the young warrior and give him his reward. The Patriarch orders the injured to get care in the village while he goes to visit the boy, thinking the kid's probably curious about the news. Meanwhile, back at the academy, our boy's being swarmed by 3 tiny yellow Pokemon-looking creatures. And what do you know? He accidentally becomes the dad of 3 baby blue spot centipedes. They look like adorable tiny caterpillars and are nuzzling against his face. He stares at the pot and has a flashback. When he got home earlier, he'd found some eggs, cleaned them, and put them on his nightstand. When he woke up, they'd all hatched. One centipede's just vibing on his head. He'd sensed it earlier, but didn't expect them to pop out so soon. He looks at the centipedes stuck to him and tries to gently peel them off his shoulders. But there's a problem: they won't let go. They've imprinted on him hard and think he's their mama. Here's what actually happened last night. Our boy was so curious about this new type of centipede that could eat him whole that he decided to do what any reasonable person would do when hearing about a giant man-eating bug. He went looking for it, alone, at night, because apparently dying once wasn't enough to teach him about messing with dangerous animals. But our boy couldn't just quit like that. He told himself that pushing through this BS proved he was still built different, even after everything he'd been through. Driven by pure curiosity, he kept searching for the centipede's lair. Then in a moment of frustration, he accidentally kicked some random bug, lost his balance, and his torch went flying. His first thought: please tell me those eggs are okay. Thankfully, the 3 eggs he found were still intact. He was low-key relieved the rain had stopped, or he might have lost all of them. Realizing he needed to bounce ASAP, he stood up to head back and clean the eggs properly. He secured them at his waist and literally talked to them like, "Don't worry, little guys, I'll give you a proper bath soon." Back in the present, even though he didn't get to see the actual living blue spot centipede, he was just happy he saved the eggs. He asked the little centipedes clinging to him to give him some personal space. He knew they wouldn't need to eat until after their first 2 molts, so feeding them wasn't an issue yet. But having them stuck to him 24/7 was getting annoying as hell. Then he got a brilliant idea. If he went into the water, maybe they'd finally let go. With a smirk, he decided shower time was happening. The little centipedes probably had no clue what that meant, but one of them literally shivered like it sensed incoming doom. A few hours later, the patriarch rolled up to the academy. He walked up to the pavilion, knocked on the door, and called out, asking if the young warrior was inside, but no one replied, so he waited for a bit, then reached for the doorknob and just let himself in. Inside, he saw herbs, jars, and medicine everywhere, making him wonder if the kid was some kind of healer. Then it hit him how rude it was to just walk into someone's place uninvited. He decided to come back later, but then he heard rustling coming from one of the pots. His curiosity got the better of him. He turned back and opened the pot. Surprised, there's a spider chilling inside. Now he's really curious. He starts opening drawers and finds a gecko, checks another pot beetles. There are also some eggs and dried snakes scattered around. The elder's mind is blown. He can't believe this young warrior is out here breeding venomous animals and their babies. Even their Tang clan, who are literally famous for handling poisonous creatures, only managed to extract venom. They never figured out how to breed them like this. He realizes that saving his daughter's life was just a small stroke of luck. The real jackpot was meeting this young warrior. Yep, bro, just marry your daughter to him. Just then, our boy appears and greets him, immediately noticing the elder's bandaged arm and looking concerned. The elder waves it off, saying it's nothing serious. He starts to tell Soryong something important, but stops dead in his tracks, sensing some seriously bad vibes. And what do you know? He was right, because in the next moment, there's a massive explosion at the entrance behind our boy. Slowly, a silhouette emerges from the smoke, stepping forward. It looks like a straight-up ogre with one eye and the entire left side of its face burned to hell. The elder instinctively shoves our boy aside, screaming at him to run. Our boy is completely confused and freaking out. The monster lets out this nightmare-inducing roar and gets into an attack stance. It moves fast, swinging its hand at them. The elder blocks the attack with his good arm, and you can see the pain on his face. The monster then pushes him back hard, sending him flying. The elder coughs and spits out blood, realizing this monster's strength is on par with his father's. He screams at Soryon to run again, but nah, as the smoke clears, we see our boy being choked and lifted off the ground by the monster. Our boy's coughing and struggling while this freak laughs like a maniac. The monster starts taunting them, saying he heard the Tang clan came to Hannan, so he came out for a hunt, but he didn't expect to find the son of the Poison King alone and injured. The elder responds that he doesn't know who this ugly bastard is and demands to know why they're being targeted. The monster asks if the elder seriously can't recognize him by his jacked up face and fighting style, introducing himself as Bloodhand Rakshasa Unyang. He reveals that the elder's father was responsible for turning him into Freddy Krueger. The elder's eyes widen, recognizing the name. He recalls that Eun had been hit by a poison palm technique and fell off a cliff. Everyone thought he was dead, but nope, this cockroach survived. The elder desperately pleads for him to release Soryong, offering his own life instead. But Eun's like, nah, I'm good, saying how he had vowed to kill anyone associated with the Tang clan. The elder internally curses this demon. Eun shows zero intention of letting our boy go. Our boy's face is turning pale from lack of oxygen. Eun laughs and declares he's about to die. Soryong begs for mercy. He's literally on his last breath. Then suddenly, 3 pairs of fierce little eyes appear in the darkness. The baby centipedes launch themselves onto Eun's arm. They were like, it's their time to shine, baby. These tiny but vicious centipedes start attacking and biting him all over. Eun's confused as hell about these centipedes and drops our boy. He's furious, shouting how even though these tiny bastards are venomous, they can't harm him. Then suddenly, his neck turns purple, and he starts coughing up blood, collapsing to the ground in pure agony. Our boy's shocked and confused, watching this dude just die right in front of him. He scrambles away and asks the elder if that guy was actually a bad person. The elder, who just witnessed everything, is absolutely stunned, his jaw's on the floor. But then he breaks into this huge grin, realizing the young warrior is way more than just a guest. The elder is thinking to himself that this kid definitely needs to become part of the Tang clan. Like, it's not even a question anymore. Cut to a few days later, and we see Sichuan tending to the elder, placing a wet cloth on his forehead. As he rests, the elder thanks him. Sichuan's like, instead of thanking me, why don't you tell me where your boys are so I can check on them? But then he realizes he can't just leave the elder alone, and they can't exactly call a doctor either without raising suspicion. The elder tells him not to worry, saying he'll be fine with a few days of rest. Our boy's absolutely amazed at how chill this dude is after getting his ass handed to him. He tells the elder to stop acting tough when he's literally in critical condition. The elder responds that he's fine because he's a martial artist. Sichuan's completely lost and asks if martial artists are the type who fly around shooting fireballs and stuff. The elder chuckles and explains that not everyone can do that, but yeah, that's one way to describe it. Our boy's mind is blown. It's yet another reminder that he's genuinely in a different world now. Otherwise, a centipede the size of a house wouldn't make any damn sense. The elder says he owes his life to Sichuan for saving him. Despite his busted-up condition, he properly introduces himself as Tang Cheolsun of the Tang clan. Finally, our boy introduces himself too. His name is Soryong. Cheolsun notes that So means small and Riang means dragon, thinking it's a solid name. Cheolsun mentions he's got a ton of questions he'd like to ask. Soryong tells him to fire away. Cheolsun asks if the centipedes crawling on Soryong's body are venomous. Soryong gently rubs one of the little guys on his belly and confirms, yup, they're blue spot centipedes. This makes Cheolsun sit up so fast despite his injuries. He's shook, asking if Soryong actually tamed them, and how the hell he managed to pull that off. Cheolsun also mentions that while waiting around, he noticed other venomous creatures and wonders if Soryong's raising those too. Soryong says it's a long story and asks if Cheolsun's okay with hearing it. Cheolsun's like, I got time. So Soryong starts explaining, beginning with the blue spot centipede eggs. When he finishes, Cheolsun asks for confirmation that Soryong raised them from eggs. Soryong nods, saying he could roughly predict when they'd hatch. To Cheolsun, this is absolutely mind-blowing. How did our boy pull off such an insane feat? Soryong tells him to hold up for a second. He goes to one of his drawers, grabs 2 lizards, and proudly shows them to Cheolsun like a proud parent. The first lizard has a brown body with yellow stripes and white stripes on its tail, just a regular striped lizard. Then there's the other one. By breeding lizards with larger white stripes on their tails, he created one with a brown body and a completely white tail. No stripes at all. Cheolsun asks if Soryong's saying he bred that color pattern himself. Soryong blushes and happily confirms it, saying he thought it looked pretty. Cheolsun regains his composure and asks the real question. If Soryong could pair ones with strong poison to create an even more venomous breed. Soryong goes huh in his head. He thinks about it and says theoretically, yeah, it's possible. He explains that if they knew which ones had stronger poison, it could probably be done. He's still talking when Cheolsun explodes with excitement, shouting, really? That's possible? Soryong's taken aback by how intense this elder's reaction is. Cheolsun immediately starts begging him to join his family. So now Soryong's completely confused. He's like, what are you saying, old man? But Cheolsun goes hard on the sales pitch, promising that if he joins, they'll teach him all their martial arts, give him access to every kind of elixir and herb, and any poison he wants. Cheolsun claims someone like Soryong could even capture or raise the legendary 10 great venomous creatures of the Central Plains martial world. As if that wasn't enough, Cheolsun adds, not to brag, but I can offer you the chance to meet one of the 3 flowers of the Central Plains, my daughter. Soryong shouts, "Hold on," and asks Chilson to repeat what he just said. Chilson says that even though Soryong's young, he's still a man at heart. He starts talking about the flowers of the Central Plains again, but Soryong's like, "F the Central Plains, tell me about the 10 great venomous creatures," and asks if they're as amazing as the blue spot centipede. Chilson assures him, of course. He explains that while the blue spot centipede is impressive, it's ranked lower compared to the top 10. From giant scorpions to golden frogs that literally glitter like gold, it adds how. Whatever Soryong's imagining, the reality is even more extraordinary. Chilson smiles, seeing he successfully hooked him. Soryong looks excited, his eyes sparkling with pure curiosity. 2 days later, a Tang clan member is shocked to learn that Blood Hand Rakshasa Eunhyang had appeared in the area. Chilson explains that Eunhyang had been hiding out and refining his martial arts, reaching a level close to the patriarch's father. The Tang clan members realize that if the patriarch had sent such a powerful dude to his death, he might have reached the legendary realm of 10,000 poisons. They start congratulating him. The patriarch stops them, saying he didn't achieve that. He reveals it was actually Sichuan who defeated Eunhyang. The Tang clan members are absolutely stunned. One member immediately grabs Soryong's hand, thanking him for saving the patriarch of the Sichuan Tang clan. They ask if he's some ancient elder who underwent rejuvenation or something. Soryong's just confused as hell. Seeing this, the elder asks Soryong to demonstrate. The Tang clan members understand what's about to go down. Soryong taps his chest, calling out to his little companions. The Tang clan members watch as Soryong's clothes start rustling and 3 adorable centipedes peek out, making everyone gasp. The little creatures crawl into view. The patriarch explains they're blue spot centipedes and that these tiny babies took down Eunhyang. The clan members are amazed by the poison's potency. It's incredible that Soryong managed to tame 1, let alone 3. The patriarch explains this is exactly why they want to accept Sichuan into their clan. However, Soryong says he needs more time to think about it. A clan member tells Soryong it's a great opportunity he shouldn't pass up. The patriarch suggests they get moving since they shouldn't delay any longer. Soryong asks if they're still searching for something. Chilson pauses before explaining that Blood Hand Rakshasa Eunhyang practiced a martial art called the Blood Hand Poison Claw. It's a dark art that requires human blood and bone marrow to reach certain levels. Soryong finds that extremely unsettling and disturbing. Chilson continues, saying that if Eunhyang left behind any secret scrolls or disciples, they need to deal with it to prevent future threats and make sure such cruel martial arts never come back. Plus, they need to rescue anyone who might have been captured as a victim. The patriarch asks if Soryong would help them out since he's familiar with Hanan Island's geography. Soryong looks thoughtful. He considers it carefully. Joining the Tang clan means a lifelong commitment. It's like checking out the company culture and the boss's character during an internship before signing the contract. Soryong agrees to help once the patriarch's recovered. They praise him for making the right decision. Soryong replies that helping means saving lives, so of course he'll assist. In his mind, though, he's planning to use this opportunity to learn more about the Sichuan Tang clan. After all, skilled workers always evaluate their potential employers before committing, right? It took the old man 3 whole days to recover, so to accommodate him, the group decided to stop at some random village near this abandoned martial academy. So in the meantime, they decided to track down Tak Eunhyang. They start asking around about missing people, and this old dude mentions that yeah, maybe 1 or 2 people disappear into the jungle every year, but nothing crazy enough to raise red flags. Chilson's standing there deep in thought. They thank the village chief, and he's all humble about it, saying, "Oh, I'm honored to help the famous patriarch of the Sichuan Tang clan. Our boys leave empty-handed," realizing this lead was a complete bust. As they're walking through the forest, Soryong's like, "Yeah, there's literally nothing special about that village." Chilson explains that when Eunhyang found them before and decided to show his face, it was somewhere near this area, but finding his actual hideout is turning into a nightmare. Soryong's also confused about why there are 0 traces of this guy. Then something clicks in his brain. He remembers something Eunhyang said. He asks Chilson if he remembers what Eunhyang said when he first appeared. Chilson's like, "Bro, I got smacked into next week by his attack. I don't remember shit." Soryong reminds him that Eunhyang mentioned hearing that the Tang clan had come to Hanan, meaning someone snitched on them. So simple solution, they just need to backtrack through all the places the Tang clan visited in Hanan. Soryong suggests they use Eunhyang's portrait and start asking around. The others are looking at Soryong like he just discovered fire. They're impressed as hell. If Eunhyang really did get tipped off by someone who spotted the Tang clan, this should make things way easier. They immediately set off. They arrive at this new village, and the vibe is straight up depressing. One of the Tang clan members reports that based on intel from the port, this should be the place. The elder mentions it's where the Halai people live and hopes they're not going to be hostile. The villagers look dead inside, like NPCs with low battery. The Tang clan calls out to see if anyone's around, and they finally get someone's attention. The The villagers see them and are like, "What are you Tang people doing here?" Then this old man, probably the village chief, walks up with a little girl flanked by 2 guards, and they all look like they're one bad day away from death. Soryong's watching this whole thing unfold, noticing how weak this kid looks and how the entire village has this lifeless energy. Then it hits him. He realizes the other villagers look droopy too, like they've been drugged or something. The village chief immediately tells them nobody's missing. Nothing weird is happening, and they need to leave now. The elder starts to say something about how the number of houses doesn't match the number of people, but the village chief cuts him off, insisting there's nothing for them to worry about. Again, he tells them to bounce. Cholson and Soryong are caught off guard. Cholson whispers to Soryong, reminding him that he said the Halley people were supposed to be friendly. Soryong's got nothing to say to that. Then he notices the little girl again and she just collapses. Everyone freaks out. The village chief grabs her, cradling her in his lap with tears in his eyes. He's begging her not to leave him because she's his only family left. He can't handle watching another person get sick and die. Cholson steps up and tells the village chief he's got some medical knowledge and asks if he can help. The village chief's like, "Central Plains Medical Arts?" Cholson confirms and explains that while he's not a full physician, he knows enough and wants to examine the kid. The village chief lets him. Then he decided to tell them the truth that there's a plague running through the village, killing children and making healthy people suffer. Cholson promises to do everything he can. The village chief is super grateful and tells his guards to stop standing around like statues and actually guide these people inside. They all rush toward the house. Soryong asks one of the Tang clan members if the elder actually knows medical stuff. The guy confirms it, explaining that since the Tang clan's martial arts involve poison, they have to be good at medicine too. Martial arts start with understanding your own body, so medical knowledge is essential. Soryong originally thought they were just an assassin group that used poison to kill people. He's thinking that if he joins the Tang clan, maybe learning medical arts would be better than the scary poison stuff. But then the guy casually adds that sometimes they capture bad guys, inject them with poison, and just watch what happens. Soryong's face is priceless. He's basically realizing they do human experimentation. The more he thinks about it, the more freaked out he gets. Cut to a few hours later, and the whole village looks abandoned. The streets are empty as hell. Cholson did his initial scan and told the village elder that he transferred some of his energy to stabilize the girl's breathing. The village chief is thanking him like crazy, begging him to save his only granddaughter. Cholson mentions something weird about her pulse and asks if she was born with a weak heart. The village chief explains she's been sick for half a year, and she's not the only one. Other villagers have this mysterious disease too. That's why he tried to kick them out earlier. Cholson offers to provide some good heart medicine and asks for all the villagers to be gathered so they can try treating everyone. The village chief is overwhelmed with emotion, thanking him over and over. Soryong's watching Cholson closely, probably impressed. Later that night, one of the Tang clan members is walking with the patriarch, acknowledging how hard he's been working treating patients. The patriarch thanks him, and Gyu Pei asks about the symptoms. Cholson explains their really unusual lethargy, swollen eyes, light fever, and irregular pulses. The severe cases all have heart problems. Cholson asks where Soryong is, and Pei says the kid's probably exhausted from helping all day and fell asleep. He left him in his room. Cholson agrees, noting that Soryong's been following them around without any martial arts training, so of course he'd be wiped out. Cholson decides to check on him. He then steps inside and finds Soryong sleeping like a baby on the bed with his 3 centipedes chilling in a basket. He raises his hand towards Soryong and slaps him awake. Cholson's glaring at him hard. Soryong's confused as hell about the sudden violence and instinctively backs away, holding his stinging cheek. He grits his teeth, getting pissed, and demands to know why the hell Cholson just slapped him. Soryong's completely shocked, holding his face trying not to cry. He starts whining about how much it hurts. The elder apologizes, saying there was a bug on Soryong's face and he was trying to catch it. Soryong's looking at him like, "Yeah, right, you just wanted to slap me." So Cholson starts explaining how when he came to check up on him, he spotted this bug chilling on his face. Since there are tons of venomous insects around here, Cholson thought it was too risky to leave it, so his hand just moved on its own. He shows Soryong the bug, and damn, this thing is huge. Soryong's eyes go wide seeing it, and then his brain kicks into overdrive. He asks Cholson to confirm something. Even though the patients had different symptoms, they all had irregular heartbeats, right? Cholson confirms it. Soryong's face lights up because he just figured out what's been killing everyone in this town. He points at the bug and tells Cholson that it's a kissing bug. And before you ask, yes, it's actually called that because these creepy bastards bite around your eyes or lips while you're sleeping, sucking your blood quieter than a mosquito. That's why they're also called vampire bugs or assassin bugs. But the bugs themselves aren't venomous. It's what's inside their stomachs that'll mess you up. They're full of nasty parasites, and when they bite you, you can get infected through their shit, which gives you trypanosomiasis, also known as Chagas disease. And it's the 7th most deadly disease to humans. Soryong asks the village chief if the village dogs have been showing similar symptoms, like running out of breath easily. The chief confirms it and asks if the bug's really responsible. Soryong says absolutely. The chief's voice cracks as he asks if this means they can save his granddaughter. Soryong says, yeah, with the right medicine, it's possible. As he said that, Chilson starts grinning. He asks Gu-pei for his opinion, and Gu-pei's like, yep, this is Sichuan's true value right here. Soryong notices them exchanging looks and is confused as hell about what's going on. They remind him that they're from the Sichuan Tang family. Soryong looks even more puzzled, and Chilson repeats it. In his head, Soryong's thinking, so what? What does that have to do with anything? Chilson explains the concept of gu, basically venomous parasites or witchcraft created by evil bastards in China. These psychos use bugs to inflict pain or straight-up mind control on people. Soryong's blown away hearing this. Chilson agrees it sounds insane, but points out that many martial artists have been killed by gu or forced to do horrible things like murdering their own families or becoming slaves to these evil men. That's why so many people have been desperately searching for an antidote to counter gu. Chilson explains they're talking about cures that either expel the gu from your body or dissolve and kill it inside you. Soryong's starting to connect the dots. Then Chilson asks the obvious question, who do you think would succeed in creating such a cure? And he proudly declares that of course it was the great Sichuan Tang family. He assures everyone that if they've got a remedy that can dissolve a fist-sized worm inside someone's body, a tiny bug is child's play. He pulls out what he calls the curse-melting orb, saying even a small amount should do the trick. Soryong's impressed, though in his mind he's thinking the name is way too fancy for what's basically just anti-parasitic medicine. The Tang family tells the village chief they can absolutely save his granddaughter. Fast forward, and the villagers start recovering, beginning with the chief's granddaughter. The chief is so relieved he's about to cry happy tears. The villagers' warm hospitality becomes the cherry on top. Their bright and cheerful personalities totally match the good things people say about them. Chil-san admits it would have been impossible without Soryong identifying the cause. He tells everyone the gratitude belongs to Soryong. The villagers start thanking Sichuan, calling him their savior. Even though the Tang family's medicine cured everyone, Chilson's giving all the credit to Soryong. Seeing Soryong get thanked makes Chilson feel warm inside, like he's being thanked himself. Meanwhile, Soryong's genuinely moved by this. The villagers start celebrating and literally toss Soryong into the air over and over like he just won the championship. Later, the village chief whispers to Chilson about their earlier conversation at the village entrance. Chilson asks what he's talking about. The chief brings up the missing people thing. Chilson remembers and asks for details. The old man, wanting to repay their kindness, shares this strange story he heard. Among the village women, one was from another village and told him about a tragedy a few years back where people just disappeared. Chilson asks where this village is located. The chief says it's a small village to the west. Cut to a few days later, the gang arrived at the village, and folks, the first thing they saw there was something straight out of an 18+ gruesome movie. Corpses everywhere, trash scattered around, bugs crawling all over, and poison lingering in the air. Seeing this, Gu-pei immediately tries to cover our boy's eyes, telling Soryong to try not to look because it's gruesome as hell, but Soryong's already seen everything. Then someone points out something weird. A gold chicken foot? No wait, it's actually this mysterious bird. The thing has a golden tail, and its body is this trippy mix of purple, pink, and black. It looks straight up magical. One guy can't stand watching the bird disrespect the dead anymore and picks up a rock to throw at it. Chilson tries to stop him, but it's too late. The rock misses, but congrats, dumbass, you've got the bird's attention now. The man's pissed off, but Chilson puts a hand on his shoulder, warning him that something feels very wrong about this situation. The bird spreads its wings and releases this nasty miasma into the air. Soryong's eyes go wide as he watches the miasma literally melt the skeletons it touches. Someone immediately grabs Soryong and covers his mouth to protect him. Chilson quickly orders everyone to run while making sure Soryong's mouth and nose are covered. He explains that this creature is a genio, which translates to poison-feathered bird, and they need to get the hell out of here right now. After escaping to safety, Chilson starts describing this bird, and let me tell you, this thing sounds absolutely terrifying. It's got a 5-foot wingspan, a sharp bronze-colored beak, and its entire body is covered in purple feathers. When it gets pissed off and spreads its wings, everything around it turns black and dies straight-up poisoned by its mere presence. Oh, and it's got a golden crown on its head, so it looks like royalty while it's murdering everything in sight. Soryong's eyes light up as he asks if this is one of the 10 great venomous creatures. Chilson nods, telling our boy that the genio holds the #1 spot among all the great venomous creatures. It's literally the king of all venom. Soryong is absolutely thrilled. In his head, he's thinking, even the venomous insects and snakes back on Earth seem adorable compared to that biohazard. And just because he has some screw loose in his head, he's marveling at how biochemical weapons just casually roam around in this world. Chalson mentions the genio was probably drawn here by snakes since it only eats the heads of venomous snakes. Soryong asks if it's common to just run into a genio like that. Chalson says hell no, it's incredibly rare. So rare that you might only see one once in 100 years. Soryong's amazed, and Chalson asks why he's so interested. Then Soryong hits them with the question, is it possible to catch the genio? The Tang members look at him like he just suggested wrestling a tornado, but Chalson is clearly amused. He's like, yep, this boy is definitely son-in-law material, and asks if Soryong actually wants to try capturing this death bird, and obviously Soryong says yes, but he's worried about the venom situation. Chio-san smiles, recognizing that Soryong's really into these 10 great venomous creatures. If that's the case, Chio-san says there's actually a way. Soryong's surprised to hear this. Chio-san explains that by mastering the Tang clan's poison techniques, he become immune to all poisons, including the venom of the Zenyao. With their clan's martial arts, he could block any poison in the world. Then Chio-san pulls the classic manipulation move. He says they don't teach their techniques to outsiders, and even as patriarch, he can't break this rule. Soryong immediately takes the bait and eagerly asks if joining the family would let him learn these techniques. He also asks if becoming immune to poison would really let him handle the Zenyao's venom. Chalson reassures him with a smile. Of course it would. He promises that if Soryong agrees right now, he'll teach him everything and nurture his talents. But then he adds the pressure, saying that if Soryong takes too long to decide, he might hesitate as well. Feeling the heat, Soryong immediately agrees. He starts asking for Chalson's guidance and switches from calling him elder to patriarch. This clever bastard has a playful smile on his face, acting like he didn't just finesse Soryong into joining. Cut to a few days later, they find signs of Unyang in a cave, footprints and everything. They call the leader over and hand him a notebook they found. Chalson looks through it and confirms it's the secret technique of the blood poison claw. Soryong feels uneasy because the whole thing is written in blood, which is creepy as hell. Chalson decides it's time to leave. Soryong asks if they're heading to Sichuan. Chalson says, yeah, it's the best choice since they've got the blue spot centipede's core and the manual. Soryong asks if they can stop by the academy first to free his friends. Chalson agrees since Soryong needs to grab his stuff anyway. As they're leaving, Soryong looks back and notices something. He points out there's something over there. They check it out and find a shiny purple feather from the Zhenyao. They all stare at it thinking. Chalson picks it up and tells Soryong he'll keep it as a gift for joining their family. Soryong looks super interested and thanks him. Chalson says everything's fine except how Soryong addresses him. He suggests changing the title after the ceremony, and our boy is all confused. He is thinking if he is talking about some kind of initiation ceremony. Meanwhile, at the Tang clan, the Grand Patriarch Tang Muzong, who left earlier, finally arrives. He's exhausted but doesn't even rest. Instead, he immediately asks about Weian. The Tang members help him inside quickly, telling him she's still holding on. The door opens and he immediately calls out to Huane. The people inside are shocked to see him. He tells his daughter-in-law he's got the medicine now and pulls out the core of the blue-spotted centipede. Seeing his success makes the daughter-in-law cry. They get ready to give her the medicine. Muzong feels sad seeing her in pain, thinking it was a close call, and he's glad he rushed back. The daughter-in-law urges him to give the medicine right away. Muzong helps his granddaughter take it, and a blue glow surrounds her. Muzong checks her pulse with his finger. They're all hoping she'll open her eyes, watching and waiting. Meanwhile, Soryong's feeling exhausted. He'd heard the Central Plains were vast, but didn't expect them to be this big. From Hannan, they took a boat to Hanggu, then passed through Nanjing after a journey lasting over a month and a half. Finally, they arrive in Sichuan. At the Sichuan Tang clan's residence, Gu Pei happily tells Soryong they're here to see the Sichuan Tang clan. Soryong's jaw drops. They're standing at the entrance, and they tell him the entire mountain belongs to the Sichuan Tang clan. That's why it's called Tang Clan Mountain. Soryong swallows hard, trying to process this. The Tang clan members come out to welcome the patriarch, and Soryong's surprised by how many there are. He's wondering if all these people are really from the Sichuan Tang clan. Among them, a girl in a red dress rushes toward them, calling out to her father. It's Huiying, with tears flowing down her face, just happy to see her dad again. Meanwhile, Soryong's completely captivated. He can't believe how beautiful she is. He's thinking he had a fling with a celebrity before, but he's never seen someone with such a bright aura like this. Chalson tells Soryong he's got someone he wants to introduce him to, and then he goes, "This is my daughter Tang Wan, the one who you earlier said weed, or was it grass?" Meanwhile, standing on the sidelines, Huiyan is all confused like, how could someone call her grass? Then, patting her on the head, Chalson says, "Oh yeah, flower. She is the flower you brushed off before." Just then, our boy remembers about his earlier conversation. And this idiot is just realizing he just fumbled the bag with possibly the baddest chick in the entire region. We're talking about Tang Huan, the only daughter of the Sichuan Tang clan, also known as the Venomous Flower. And yeah, she's about to become very important to this story. So let's rewind a bit. Huan's been dealing with some heavy emotional baggage since she was a kid. One day, she's just minding her business when she overhears these crusty old bastards talking about her. These geezers are sitting there like, yeah, her martial arts skills are mid at best, but damn, she's fine enough to be one of the 3 flowers of Murim. Then they start discussing how they need to find her a good husband, treating her like some trading card. One old dude even mentions he told the patriarch to get a second wife to pop out a son, but the patriarch told him to f off. When Huan heard all this, something inside her snapped. She realized her parents were right about how the clan really saw her just a pretty face, not a real warrior. So she decided, alright bet, I'm going to prove all these old bastards wrong. She threw herself into training, determined to show everyone she could carry the family legacy. But when you're desperate to prove something, you rush, and when you rush, you mess up. Her impatience led to her developing a demon heart, which caused a chi deviation. Basically, she almost died. When Huan finally wakes up, the Grand Patriarch, her mom, and a couple others are surrounding her bed looking stressed as hell. Her mother's crying tears of relief seeing she's okay. Huan immediately starts sobbing and apologizing to her mom, saying she tried so hard to be useful to the clan, but now she's lost all her inner chi, and she's basically useless. Her grandfather calls her a brat and asks if she's really going to sit there crying after making her whole family worry sick about her. Then he told her that she has actually reached the level of 100 poisons she was grinding so hard for. He tells her to stop the waterworks and cheer up. Huan's confused as hell and looks at her aura, which is literally glowing. She's like, Grandpa, what the hell is going on? The Grand Patriarch grins and says he's got a story for her about some mysterious young warrior who not only saved her life but also blessed her with the inner chi of 1,000 poisons, not just 100. Cut back to the present, and Huan's asking about that whole weed comment. Our boy Soryong is standing there looking like he wants the ground to swallow him whole. He's internally screaming at himself for calling Chilsin's daughter a weed because he was too busy fanboying over the 10 great venomous creatures story. The cringe is eating him alive. He tries to play it off, saying the patriarch's taking the joke too far, and tells her it's nice to meet her. Meanwhile, all the clan members are standing around grinning like they're watching their favorite rom-com unfold. Soryong introduces himself properly, mentioning he heard she was sick, and he's glad to see her looking healthy. Huan introduces herself as the Venomous Flower and thanks him for saving her life, promising she'll never forget his kindness. Soryong's just staring at her like a deer in headlights because holy shit, she's gorgeous. Then Chelsin's voice pops into Soryong's head. He asks our boy what he thinks of his daughter, if he agrees she's beautiful, and if he wants to get to know her better. Soryong's completely caught off guard. A little while later, Soryong's chilling in this massive bath, absolutely exhausted and looking like he's about to pass out. The centipedes are peacefully vibing in a basket nearby. He glances over at them and smiles, and one of the little dudes wakes up and smiles back. Normally, these centipedes are glued to his body 24/7, but when he told them hot water would hurt them and suggested they chill in the bucket, they actually listened and hopped in like they understood every word. He's sitting there thinking about how weird it is that they can actually comprehend him. Chilsin mentioned they react to killing intent, which is already wild. 2 of the centipedes are now awake and just watching him. He jokes that he feels embarrassed having them stare at his naked ass, and the 2 centipedes immediately hide inside the bucket. He's shook. He remembers Gu Pei calling them spiritual creatures and makes a mental note to research what that actually means later, but he can't calm down because of what Chilsin said earlier. He knows he needs to bounce soon. Meanwhile, at another pavilion, the whole family's gathered the Grand Patriarch, Chilsin, his wife, and Huan. Chilsin announces he's giving our boy the East Wing room. For context, this is the room traditionally reserved for married couples. The Grand Patriarch asks if Soryong is really that talented, and Chilsin nods, saying at first he thought they just got lucky meeting him. But nah, this kid is the real deal. He starts gassing up our boy, explaining how he's got insane knowledge about venomous creatures. He straight up killed Eun-Yang, encountered legendary spiritual creatures like the poison-feathered bird, and even hatched blue spot centipede eggs himself. The Grand Patriarch's like, damn, you really found a gem. Then they all turn to look at Huan. Chilsin told her that he wants Soryong as his son-in-law and asked his daughter what she thinks. Huan processes what he just said, realizes what's happening, and goes silent. She's thinking about how she has the 1,000 poisons constitution now and needs to prove she's valuable to the clan. She tells her father she's a member of the Tang clan, and she understands what he's saying, but whether Soryong is worthy of her is something she needs to figure out herself. Then she just gets up and runs out of the room, leaving everyone sitting there awkwardly. Chelsin's thinking to himself that Soryong better watch out, his daughter might be beautiful, but she's got thorns. Huiyan's running through the compound, thinking that now that she has the 1,000 poison constitution, if she doesn't do something with it, those old bastards will never respect her. She decides she's going to thoroughly investigate what kind of person Soryong is, his qualifications, his personality, everything. Meanwhile, Soryong's sitting there stressing about what he should do. He knows there's a good chance she might hate him for that weak comment, and literally asks the centipedes for advice like they're his homies. Suddenly, Huiyan appears out of nowhere and scares the shit out of him, and all this idiot can think of is how stunning she is. She apologizes for the intrusion, says she's in a hurry, and asks for his hand. Our boy just gives it to her like a puppy giving its paw, and his face turns red. He's stammering, saying he doesn't know why she's in such a rush, but maybe they should get to know each other better first before doing such things. He's shyly mentioning there's an order to how relationships work. Wayne's confused, asking what the hell he's talking about. Then it clicks for her what he's implying, and her face turns as red as a tomato. She's like, that's not what I meant. So now there's this awkwardness between them. Weem's panicking inside, trying to clarify that it's not what he's thinking, she just wanted to check his pulse. She admits her sudden request probably came off weird. Meanwhile, our boy is standing there looking like he wants to disappear into the floor from embarrassment. She sits down next to him, apologizing for popping up out of nowhere and being rude. She tells him that yeah, he's young and technically not even of age yet, but he seems mature enough, so she's going to explain what's actually going on. She starts talking, and Soryong's listening closely. From what he's hearing, this sounds like some medieval drama. As the only direct descendant, Huiyan's constantly dealing with the branch families, scheming and plotting to make sure the main family line continues. The elders are trying to find a capable son-in-law, and they're even calculating how Soryong's entire status would change if he married into the family. Huiyan apologizes in advance because there's something she needs to confirm about him. She tells him that even if things don't work out between them, she's not going to treat him like garbage. She sees him as her savior, and wants to treat him as either an honored guest or like sworn siblings if the marriage thing doesn't happen. Soryong extends his hand and tells her he gets it, so she can check whatever she needs to check. She takes his hand and places her fingers on his pulse. This blue aura starts glowing around her, and she begins explaining that the Tang clan's martial arts aren't something any random person can just learn. Some people's bodies can accept toxins and master the techniques, while others straight up can't. That's why their poison techniques require you to gradually adapt to poisons as your internal energy grows. You have to accept them all to achieve true mastery. The poison system has tiers. It starts with 5 poisons, then 10, 100, 1,000, and finally 10,000 poisons. After checking his pulse, she tells him the good news: his body can learn poison techniques. The bad news? He's only at the 10 poisons level. Now, having a 10 poison body is actually pretty impressive, especially for someone who wasn't born into the Tang clan. But Soryong's sitting there looking shocked as hell. Huiyan continues, explaining that in terms of skill level, this would place him at first-rate martial artist status, basically the highest level someone without natural-born talent can reach. She decides to take her leave after dropping this info bomb. As she walks away, Soryong's thinking about this whole 10 poison body thing and his face goes pale. He's realizing this might mean he can't catch Zhen Yao, and for our boy, this is actually a serious crisis. Cut to a few hours later, Huiyan steps out of the bath looking absolutely stunning. But ever since she absorbed the blue spot centipede's inner core, her body's been giving off this weird smell, even though she bathes multiple times a day. As she's getting dressed, she's wondering if this is some kind of karmic punishment for being ungrateful to the person who literally saved her life. Meanwhile, Soryong's knocked out, deep asleep. In his dream, someone's thanking him for his kindness. It's Huiyan, or at least she looks like Huiyan. He asks if he's dreaming. Huiyan tells him it might feel like a dream, but it's not. She explains she borrowed the appearance of the girl who consumed her inner core as not to scare our boy. Then she introduces herself as the mother of the blue spot centipede. Soryong's brain is struggling to process this just then. 3 little girls approach him, and he figures out these are her babies in human form. He asks how the hell she's appearing in his dreams. She explains that she was killed without mercy, leaving her children behind, and her grudge was so strong it reached the heavens, causing her spirit to linger in the inner core. She adds that while she was cursing from inside Huiyan's body, a chance to resolve her grudge showed up when he brought all her children with him. Soryong realizes he unintentionally played a part in the blue spot centipede's death. He didn't mean to, but he feels guilty as hell about being involved. She asks if he can fulfill one request for her, so naturally our boy agrees immediately, promising to do whatever she needs. She requests that he take care of her children until they're fully grown. Soryong's confused because centipedes are supposed to become independent after molting twice from their mother's body, right? The mother centipede explains that is correct for the regular centipedes, but for giant ones like her, their offspring are dependent on the chi from the mother's inner core until they shed their shells twice. After that, they need the true chi of other beings to keep growing. Soryong asks if this means the babies need to stay with Hwaeun since she consumed the inner core. The mother centipede reveals some wild information. She cursed Hwaeun so her body would emit a foul odor, making sure no man would approach her and she'd never have children, and now she's offering a deal. In exchange for lifting the curse, her children can absorb the chi from Hwaeun's inner core. She even says that this might help our boy win her over. Soryong thinks about it for a second, then smiles and says that doesn't feel right to him. He doesn't want to take advantage of Hwaeun's situation. The mother centipede's impressed by his honor and asks how he plans to tackle this challenge then. She points out that Hwaeun's looking for a strong man, and she can't just hand him the inner cores of the 10 great venomous creatures. This sparks an idea in Soryong's head. He asks the centipede to trust him. He assures her he'll handle it and everything will work out. The next day, Soryong and Hwaeun are sitting side by side. Hwaeun now knows that the smell coming from her body is because of the blue spot centipede's inner core, and that if she attaches the centipedes to her body every few days to let them absorb the chi, the smell will naturally fade away. Hwaeun doesn't hesitate but asks if he's really okay helping her without expecting anything in return. She knows he could easily demand compensation for this. Soryong smiles and says he can't bring himself to exploit a woman's difficult situation. He refuses to be that shameless. Hwaeun's surprised as hell by his response. She feels guilty and says she can't keep accepting his kindness without giving something back, and told our boy that from now on she will start taking her father's words more seriously. Seeing her all hyped up, Soryong mentions he's been thinking too. He recalls when she said he had a poison body of 10 and could only absorb 10 types of toxins, and that got him thinking, if he can only take in 10 types of toxins, then he should aim to fill those slots with the toxins of the 10 most venomous creatures in the entire Central Plains. But Hwaeun interprets Soryong's ambition completely differently. She thinks he wants to become the strongest under the heavens for her sake, which makes her blush hard. For Tang Hwaeun, known as one of the 3 flowers of Murim and the venomous flower, this is the first time a man has ever made such a bold gesture toward her. Our boy's out here accidentally rizzing her up without even trying, and she's falling for it. Still blushing, Hwaeun asks Soryong if he even gets what he just said. Our boy's completely lost. Like, what'd I say? Hwaeun's trying to explain that the path he's talking about is insane and ridiculously hard. This could take 10 years, 20 years, or hell, maybe his entire damn life to pull off. Soryong's face drops. He's thinking, wait, that long? Seriously. Meanwhile, Hwaeun's face is still red as she points out he's only 15 right now. She tells him in 3 years, when he's old enough to get married, if he manages to catch even one of those 10 legendary poison beasts, she'd be genuinely impressed. Then she gets all shy and says that if he pulls it off, there might be wedding bells in their future. After dropping that bombshell, she hypes him up and bolts, completely embarrassed. Soryong standing there like, what the hell? And calls after her. She turns back, asking what's up. He tells her to come back so he can finish treating her and chill for a bit longer. She awkwardly returns. He reassures her it's all good since the baby centipedes won't bite. He gathers his little centipede babies and tells them to go to their mom instead of their dad. Hearing mom and dad makes Hwaeun's face go nuclear red. She's like, why are you saying it like that? Soryong quickly backpedals, nah, he's just talking about the centipedes, relax. Meanwhile, Chulsun, his wife, and Muzong are having a meeting about the situation. They're discussing how Soryong's insane talent apparently still hasn't won Hwaeun over. Muzong asks if they saw the two this morning. It looked like something was going down between them. Hwaeun's mom notes it seemed like Hwaeun rejected him. The dads are sitting there processing this. Muzong says forcing a marriage is a trash move, and they should let feelings develop naturally. Hwaeun's mom suggests putting Hwaeun in charge of Soryong's martial arts training so they can spend more time together and bond. Muzong mentions asking the elder healer Sage for that special elixir if Soryong's aptitude is low, it could boost him up. Chaelsun's shocked, pointing out even Hwaeun couldn't get that, so don't get your hopes up. Right then, Hwaeun's standing outside the door. She announces herself, blushing hard because she didn't expect all 3 of them to be there. She blurts out in one breath that she'll do what her father suggested. They're all surprised like, wait, what? Juan's mom invites her to sit and gently asks if Soryong caught her interest. Embarrassed as hell, Hwaeun can barely speak. They're confused about this sudden change since she seemed uninterested before. She starts explaining that Soryong promised to become the greatest in the world for her. He made that promise specifically to her. They lean in, telling her to continue. She explains that despite Soryong only having talent at the 10 poisons level, he vowed to overcome it by defeating the 10 legendary poison beasts for her sake. Hearing that, Muzong's cracking up, but in a good way. They all laugh about Soryong's massive balls for making such a bold promise. Hwaeun's mom is genuinely impressed, saying how dudes like that are rare as hell. Hwaeun explains that while her heart's into it, she told Soryong she'd only marry him if he captures one of those beasts before he comes of age. She's wondering if he even understood. Her dad jokes she should have asked for at least 3. Her mom points out guys aren't always great at picking up hints like that. Wayne asks if she should go clarify. Her mom's like, hell no, Soryeong doesn't realize they've already approved. He'll work even harder thinking he needs to prove himself. Muzong suggests treating him like a future son-in-law while pretending they're still deciding. With all his efforts, he'll naturally become family anyway. In the dream world, Mama Centipede is praising Soryeong for winning Hwayan over. He says it's all about guts and perseverance. She smiles, calling him her benefactor and saying this is probably her last act. Her grudge is settled, and her soul's heading to the afterlife. She offers to do anything for him before she goes. Soryeong thinks and asks if he can see her true form. She gets shy, thinking it's reasonable, probably assumes he's into her. She reveals her shoulder and starts stripping. Soryeong quickly asks if she really needs to take everything off, making her blush harder. Damn, I'm sad now. The centipede would have been a great waifu. She asks if she should stop. Soryeong clarifies that's not what he meant. Meanwhile, the baby centipedes are covering their eyes like, we're too young for this shit. He explains he wants to see what a blue spot centipede actually looks like the bug form. She realizes her mistake and feels mortified as hell. Smoke fills the area, and she reveals her giant centipede form. Soryeong gasps, getting hyped. He's genuinely shocked to see her size and immediately asks if he can touch her, but this bastard is already doing it before she answers. He's geeking out over her waterproof body, imagining how she moves. He rapid-fires questions about her legs, venom, strength, eyes, and antennae, all while examining every inch of her. Meanwhile, the kids are still covering their eyes, looking adorable. He's so enthusiastic he even wants to touch her fangs. She warns him it's dangerous, but he insists. So now Mama Centipede's getting concerned, wondering if her daughters are going to be okay with this dude because his touch is anything but normal. It's hilarious and weird as hell watching Soryeong literally drooling while caressing her centipede body like it's the most beautiful thing he's ever laid eyes on. Cut to later, and Chelsen's having a meeting with Soryeong and Hwain. He tells our boy he heard everything from Hwain. So congrats, my guy, you're officially their son-in-law now. Soryeong's confused as hell, like, wait, hold up, didn't I have 3 years to figure this out? Hwain chimes in, saying the wedding just happens naturally when he turns legal age. Before Soryeong can even process this, Hwayan's mom jumps in all excited, welcoming him to the family and straight up introducing herself as his mother-in-law. Muzong's hyped too, bragging about how their clan's about to prosper. Soryeong's looking at Hwayan like, yo, weren't there supposed to be conditions or something? He thought there'd be tests and trials, but nah, they just accepted him like he ordered same-day delivery. He decides to just roll with it. Then Muzong says they should get started immediately, and Soryeong's standing there confused. Chelsen explains that before learning the Tang clan poison arts, there's something they have to show him, first the Hall of 10,000 Poisons. They've been waiting for this moment. It's a treasured family tradition. Soryeong's eager as hell, thinking it's going to be some room with 10,000 different poisons just chilling there. But then he glances at Hwayan's side profile and gets absolutely mesmerized, thinking about how girls look best from the side. Our boy's blushing hard and his in-laws are loving every second of it. Chelsen jokes that at this rate, Soryeong might wear out his daughter's face from staring, pointing out that Hwayan's his woman now, yet he's staring like a complete idiot. Both Hwayan and Soryeong turn red as hell. A bit later, they're standing before this absolutely massive door with 2 jack dudes guarding it. Some guy welcomes the Grand Patriarch, and Muzong orders them to open the gate. The security seems ridiculously tight, like, what are they guarding, nuclear codes? The 2 muscle dudes use literally all their strength to push this heavy-ass door open, and afterwards they look absolutely exhausted. Chelsen explains the iron gate is forged from some fancy steel, and even opening it is considered an honor. They arrive inside the hall, basically a treasure trove where the Tang clan stores all its poisons. Muzong warns Soryeong not to touch something recklessly, or he'll probably die. Hwayan explains they're all categorized paralysis, poisons, sleep poisons, tons more. The elders are clearly enjoying teasing the young couple, so Chelsen asks Hwayan to explain the poisons to Soryeong. Both blush hard, but Hwayan takes on the task anyway, grabbing Soryeong's hand and leading him around. She shows him a bunch of poisons with names straight out of a horror movie: chi-dissipating poison, spirit-destroying poison, and bloody pulp poison. But she explains the Tang clan's strongest poison is something else entirely, and hands him a small seed. Soryeong's puzzled, thinking it looks like a regular bean. Hwayan explains it's the most powerful poison, a castor seed. Soryeong's inner nerd kicks in, thinking of ricin, which is 100,000 times stronger than cyanide. This little seed is no joke. Hwayan tells him the strongest poison isn't the one causing the most agony. It kills silently, swiftly, without leaving a trace. That's what the Tang clan's poison arts strive for. In Soryeong's mind, they basically seem like assassins with extra steps. Muzong says that's enough poison talk and invites Soryeong to see the venomous beasts he's been dying to check out, even offering that Soryeong can oversee their care with full clan support. To Soryeong, This means they're supporting his hobby, making him look excited as hell. But just as they're about to leave, Gu Pei arrives panting, saying the patriarch needs to head to Black Tortoise Pavilion immediately. Muzong angrily demands to know what those bastards are up to now. Soryong wonders if they're talking about the branch family members. Gu Pei says there are two issues. First, the medicine sent to the Sichuan City Lord didn't work, and the dude sent back a letter full of complaints. He glances at Soryong before revealing the second issue is about the Hall of 10,000 Poisons. They decide to head over, and Muzong insists Soryong comes with them. At Black Tortoise Pavilion, the elders immediately start bitching about the critical decision Muzong made on his own. They're pissed about pairing Huiyang with an orphan of unknown origins. This triggers Kyle-sun hard. He starts emitting this green aura, asking if they're straight up insulting his son-in-law. The elders insist their concerns are valid, doubling down. They argue that entrusting management of the 10,000 poisons to an outsider with unproven abilities is absolutely absurd. Muzong repeats he gave his approval, and his word should be final. During all this drama, Huiyang's worried about Soryong and whispers an apology. Soryong initially thinks she shouldn't be worried about him when it should be the other way around. Everyone's caught off guard when Soryong speaks up, saying, "Excuse me, sorry to interrupt this family roast session." He proposes that since the whole issue stems from doubts about his abilities, he should just demonstrate his skills to prove himself. He suggests he can resolve the issue with the Sichuan City Lord to prove his worth. Huiyang asks him in a hushed tone what the hell he's trying to do. Soryong's not typically the type to step forward and cause a fuss, but he won't let anyone disturb his peaceful life as a pet owner. Our boy's confidence obviously pissed off these idiots, and they started lecturing him, asking if he even knew what was in the Sichuan City Lord's letter before barging in. They called him a nobody and threatened to report him to the clan head. The elders jumped on this chance to push for his son-in-law from some fancy martial clan instead, and hearing all of these old geezers complain, Chelsen's wife was getting seriously annoyed. Meanwhile, our boy was thinking these old geezers sounded ridiculous. Back when he was Spicy Fabry, he had over 1 million subscribers and averaged 3,000 plus viewers per stream. Basically, he was used to dealing with way worse trolls than these fossils. Soryong pointed out that the elders still refused to see him as the actual son-in-law. He reminded them he'd saved Lady Huiyang, beaten Blood Hand Rakshasa, and saved the patriarch's life. He asked if insulting someone who'd helped them out was really how the Soryong Tang clan treated people. Soryong knew this hate was nothing compared to his streaming days. It was almost cute. The elders got embarrassed and admitted they spoke too quickly. Seeing how our boy made quick work of them, the Grand Patriarch was impressed. One elder suggested claiming to have taken down Enyang was way too much. The Patriarch backed up Soryong's story, showing them a document. Their jaws dropped when they realized it was the blood poison art secret manual written in actual blood. Then the Patriarch told Soryong to show them the spotted centipedes. Soryong tapped his chest, and 3 baby spotted centipedes popped out happily. The Patriarch explained these were babies of the blue-spotted centipede and proudly mentioned his son-in-law was raising them, and added how these little guys bit Enyang to death. The elders couldn't believe it. Meanwhile, the Patriarch, Soryong, and the rest of the gang were enjoying this situation way too much. Chelsen pointed out that calling Soryong a young warrior meant they hadn't accepted him as a son-in-law. Soryong joked that if the centipedes bit them, they'd end up as black and lifeless as Takunyang. Hearing that these old bastards freaked out, quickly denying it and scrambling for excuses. The Grand Patriarch sighed and dropped the son-in-law topic, and then asked them why they have a problem with our boy entering the Hall of 10,000 Poisons. The elders argued Soryong hadn't fully become family yet, plus they didn't want to hand it over to some young guy who hadn't even hit adulthood. But the Grand Patriarch had a simple solution: Soryong needed to prove himself. Soryong grinned and said he'd do it their way, with poison. The elders panicked, thinking he meant poisoning the Lord of Sichuan Province. They called him an idiot for thinking about poisoning the Lord instead of sending medicine. Soryong was confused since he thought the Sichuan Tang clan was all about poison. The next day, the Grand Patriarch told Soryong he'd start learning the 5 Venoms returning technique. Soryong asked if this meant lots of physical training. The Patriarch explained his body would naturally adapt as he practiced. Muzong added the Tang clan was all about practicality. Soryong would learn stuff for actual fights. Muzong unpacked a bunch of weapons, arrows, daggers, and shurikens. They covered throwable hidden weapons like needles, coins, darts, powder, daggers, and throwing knives. Muzong asked which Soryong thought was easiest. Soryong guessed a dagger or throwing knife, and he was right. Then Muzong asked which was hardest. Soryong figured it was powder, but Muzong said it was actually the needle and asked him why it was. Soryong assumed it was because needles were tiny and hard to throw accurately. Muzong said that wasn't all. The real challenge was remembering exactly where you threw each needle. To demonstrate, Muzong grabbed a brush, separated the head from the handle, and made a quick throwing motion. The bristles floated in the air, turning into needles that rained down, and he just stood there. "Yo, At this point, this old man is just aura farming. After he explains the Tang clan had a hidden weapon technique called Sky Obscuring Flower Rain. Soryong realized fighting in an area full of needles meant being super careful. Muzong laughed, saying that was exactly the point. Soryong needed to remember where all the needles were so he wouldn't become a victim of his own technique. This seemed impossible to Soryong. He started sweating, confirming whether he needed to remember positions of needles that bounced off opponents or fell out of place. Muzong said yes. With the 5 poisons body, Soryong would need to memorize at least 100 positions to start, and as he heard that, Soryong went pale and just collapsed face down on the ground. Cut to some time later, Wayne showed up wearing a beekeeping suit, asking if she looked ready since she'd heard he was going to catch a hornet. Soryong assured her it wasn't overkill with their gear, they could just go catch one themselves. He asked if she knew where a hornet's nest was. Wayne said she'd found one nearby. Soryong also put on a beekeeping suit. As they got ready, Wayne brought up the letter sent by the city lord and asked our boy if he'd seen it. Without even thinking about it, our boy told her that he has since come into the world. He's only 15. Hwan was worried that Soryong might not fully understand what was in the letter, but nah, he did. Realizing he knew what was up, she explained the major problem troubling the city lord of Sichuan is that his rod wasn't getting hard anymore. Huayan got suspicious about how Soryong knew about this stuff at his age. Soryong brushed it off, saying he lived alone for a while. Embarrassed, Huayan picked up the pace. A few hours later, they got to the forest, and our boy kept getting distracted by the creatures there, and Huayan had to keep him on track until they reached their spot. Folks, the chibi art of this manhwa is really something, isn't it? So the scene shifts, and the duo is now in front of a mini cave. Our boy says how this place is perfect for hornets. Huayan asked what the deal was with finding a bee without a hive. As they put on their head protection, Soryong explained. He told her it meant that even though they came looking for hornets, they wouldn't actually be catching any. Huayan was confused as they got closer to the hole. Soryong explained that the venomous insect they were after could be found in smaller, weaker hives. Huayan had no idea, but luckily, the hive had what they needed. An insect came out, and Soryong grabbed it with chopsticks. They hadn't come to catch a hornet. This little bug was what they were after. Looking all excited, our boy said how this tiny creature would solve the Sichuan city lord's problem. Seeing our boy all hyped up, Huayan asks about the bug, wondering if it's a ground beetle, and folks, she guessed right. Soryong's like, yeah, but in his head he's thinking, so that's what these things are called in this era. Huayan's confused as hell, asking why a ground beetle would be chilling in a hornet nest of all places. So Soryong decides to drop some absolutely wild nature facts on her. So apparently, blister beetles have the most unhinged reproduction game in the entire insect world. Most bugs either guard their eggs or at least pick a decent spot to lay them, right? But not these bastards, they literally just drop eggs wherever the hell they feel like. The only thing they bother doing is keeping them all in one spot, that's it. That's the whole parenting plan. Now when the larvae hatch, these little shits start crawling toward the highest point they can find. And once they reach the top, they pull off the most elaborate catfish scheme in nature. They all huddle together and straight up pretend to be a flower. I'm talking about a full-on insect flash mob impersonating a plant. So bees see this flower and think, oh nice, free pollen, and fly over to check it out. The second a bee gets close enough, the entire swarm of larvae just launches onto the bee's body. Game over, the bee's entire nest is basically theirs now. Soryong wasn't totally sure why they love giant hornet nests specifically, but apparently that's the perfect spot for these parasitic little bastards to grow up. Huayan feels bad for the hornets, but Soryong's like, yeah, nature's brutal. What can you do? Then Huayan brings up how she's heard these bugs can burn your skin and even kill you if you eat too much. Soryong confirms it. The orange goo that drips from blister beetles has this toxic chemical called cantharidin. Touch it, and your skin bubbles up like you got burned. But then Huayan's face goes red, and she asks if the other rumor is true. Soryong confirms that yeah, the stuff can immediately raise a man's rod, and Huayan gets so embarrassed she's like, okay, enough education for today, telling him to hurry back to the Hall of 10,000 Poisons. Soryong wanted to catch more beetles, but they already got what they needed, so they headed back and started teaching the warriors how to prep the medicine. Soryong tells them to pay close attention, dry the beetle, grind it into powder, and remember that 1/10 of that powder is straight poison. If someone takes 3 months of it, they're dead. He explains that at 3/10 of 1 mo per guan of body weight, about half the people who take it will die. So he needs them to prep it with 1/10 of 1 mole of poison, roughly 10 drops of liquid. And yeah, 1 mo is 3.75 milligrams, and 1 guan is 3.75 kilograms if you're wondering. Soryong asks if that makes sense, but deep down his brain is absolutely melting from all these calculations. One of the warriors takes off his mask and says he's impressed. He never expected Soryong to be this good at math on top of everything else. The warrior promises they'll get it done right, and Soryong's like, I'm counting on you guys. Cut to later. Muzong heard about what our boy did, and now he's seriously thinking about checking all the poisons in the Tang clan's stash. Then he brings up how crazy Soryong's math skills were. Huang gushes about how he calculated the dose and matched it exactly to 10 drops of liquid, which was incredible. Muzong admits that while he thought he knew everything about poisons, Soryong's on a completely different level. The more he learns about the kid, the more he realizes what an absolute gem he is. Then he teases Wan, asking if she likes Soryong even more now, and she blushes so hard she's basically a tomato, saying she regrets being so harsh on him in the beginning. Muzong tells her what matters is making up for it going forward. Then Muzong asks how they're going to test the medicine once it's ready. Huan turns even redder and mentions the branch family elders have been acting all high and mighty lately. Soryong jokingly suggests they test it by giving it to the clan elders and watching them get rock hard. Muzong's jaw drops, but then he bursts out laughing because honestly, that's hilarious. The next day, everyone gathers in the hall. The clan elders are looking skeptical as hell. A warrior hands Soryong open a wooden box, explaining he mixed the beetle powder with licorice and honey to make it taste better. Soryong's impressed by the attention to detail and confirms the warrior followed his exact instructions. The other clan members are scoffing like, how amazing could it possibly be? The patriarch tells everyone to shut up and asks Soryong how he plans to prove this medicine actually works. Soryong acts all surprised like, what do you mean? The elders are like, obviously we need to confirm it works. One of these bastards even shouts about how they can't just send unverified medicine to the city lord. Another adds that if something goes wrong, it could be a disaster. Soryong's like, well, I guess there's no other choice then. The warrior realizes what's about to happen and hands the medicine to the elders themselves. The elders are pissed, like, hold up, does this little idiot seriously expect us to be the guinea pigs? One loud-ass elder is like, do you even know what the hell this medicine does? Another one says Soryong's been screwing around outside for so long it's rotted his damn brain. But our boy just grins and calls out to his grandfather. Muzong's like, yeah, what's up? Soryong reminds him of what he said earlier that anyone who mastered the Tang clan's martial arts was never afraid of poison, right? Muzong catches on and plays along, confirming it with a straight face. Then Soryong goes in for the kill, pointing out that if the elders are hesitating right now, doesn't that mean they're scared? Muzong agrees, backing him up. Then our boy goes, come on now, surely you great masters aren't afraid of some basic ground beetle poison, right? And just like that, he hit their weak spot. These old dudes got triggered. Man, our boy basically gaslit these ancient bastards into taking pills, and they fell for it. I'm getting some serious Lloyd vibes here. One of them splits the medicine in two, all puffed up, saying they've got nothing to fear from such low-grade poison. They take a pill, telling Soryong he's seriously underestimated them and warning him that if nothing happens, there's going to be hell to pay. Another elder is going off about upholding the clan's laws and principles as they're chewing this medicine down. Everyone's silent, watching. Then the elders smirk at each other like, see, told you. Nothing's happening. But then the sleeping giant awakened, and their eyes went wide with embarrassment. And so that day, the laws and principles of the Tang clan were set straight literally and magnificently. The medicine got sent to the city lord, and surprise, surprise, it worked perfectly. A little while later, you got these elders awkwardly walking through the hall, holding their robes way out in front of their bodies, trying to hide the evidence of their enthusiasm. Anyway, Soryong's telling Muzong that just like he predicted, provoking these old dudes with anything poison-related made them fall for it instantly. They're so proud of their poison skills, they can't help themselves. Muzong gets it. These are men who've got nothing left except their pride and reputation, so of course it worked. But Muzong also points out that despite being annoying as hell, they genuinely care about the clan. He tells Soryong not to hold it against them too much because at the end of the day, they're still family. Soryong nods, saying he understands. Just then, Huan comes sprinting up looking panicked as hell, saying something terrible just happened. They're like, yo, what's wrong? And she says their children are acting really strange. Our boy Soryong's face goes pale, looking confused as hell about what she just said, while Muzong immediately grabs this bastard by the collar with murder in his eyes, demanding he explain what the hell is going on right now. Why the hell do they already have kids when they haven't even gotten married yet? Huan jumps in like, yo, Gramps, chill. I'm talking about those spotted centipedes he's been raising, not actual human babies. Hearing that, our boy pauses for a second. He's thinking about how he was so focused on his training grind that he completely forgot about his bug babies, and the first news he got of them is that something happened to them. So he reaches toward Huan, assuming she's got them tucked away somewhere. Huang screams, they're not on me, and Muzong's just standing there like, bruh, what is happening right now? In the next scene, they find the 3 blue-spotted centipedes looking absolutely cooked, like they went from vibrant blue to crusty brown. Oh, and Soryong's got a fresh handprint slapped across his face as a souvenir from earlier. He's staring at these bugs with maximum concern while Hwayeon's freaking out, saying they looked fine before, worried they caught some bug disease. Their colors all washed out, and their shells look weird. But Soryong calms everyone down, explaining it's just molting. Nuzong asks if they're really about to molt right now, and Soryong says, yeah, it should happen any second. Right on cue, one of the little guys starts twitching weird, and boom, its head pops out of the old shell. The other two start molting too, and they all successfully escape their crusty prisons. Huiyan notices they look like they doubled in size, then asks if these bad boys have names yet. Soryong realizes he never named them, and you can see his brain struggling. Huiyan says that they should have names, so what names does he come up with? Number 1, number 2, and number 3. Huiyan's like, absolutely the fuck not, and refuses to accept that basic nonsense. She explains that spotted centipedes supposedly turn into dragons after 1,000 years, so they need some dignified, dragon-worthy names. Soryong argues back, saying there's no way a centipede becomes a dragon even after a millennium, but Muzong backs Huiyun up, joking that a 1,000-year-old spotted centipede is called a dragon. Soryong realizes Muzong's been filling Huiyun's head with this stuff, so he actually puts some thought into it and names them Nova, meaning new beginning, Myra, meaning fragrance, and Grace, representing elegance. Huiyun's happy with this since naming the kids is traditionally the dad's job anyway, and just like that, the centipede children have proper names. Fast forward a whole day, and the centipedes are back to clinging to Soryong. His body's still not 100% dry yet, but he can move around, though things feel awkward now because these bugs got heavy. They went from thick sausage size to full-on forearm length. While he's just chilling there, cuddling his bug babies, he overhears two dudes walking by. One's holding a fat pouch, bragging about how the Sichuan people are so easy to fool. This obviously catches Soryong's attention. Cut to the pavilion where Chelsen's got some fire news. The medicine they sent to the Sichuan city lord worked perfectly, and Homeboy sent back a thank you message with a generous bag. Soryong and Huiyun are hyped. Chelsen's feeling himself, proud that he's already getting benefits right after accepting Soryong as his son-in-law. Our boy really came through. Since Soryong helped out, Chelsen wants to give him an elixir as thanks because if he called it a reward, Soryong would probably refuse. Soryong remembers his grandpa saying elixirs boost your internal energy. Huiyun asks what kind of elixir we're talking about, and Chelsen casually says it's just golden-haired king bee honey. In Soryong's head he's like, so regular honey. But knowing internal energy is crucial for becoming a martial master, he decides to take it. He's about to thank his father-in-law when Huiyun interrupts. She's looking at her dad like, really? Just honey? And Chelsen starts sweating. Huiyun goes off saying Soryong accomplished something major and the golden-haired king bee is a mid-tier venomous creature, but honey is literally the lowest grade elixir. She's not backing down, telling her dad he should be giving something worth a year of internal energy instead of this 2-month weak sauce. Chelsen tries defending himself, saying it's still an elixir and was expensive, but Huiyun's not having it compared to what Soryong did. This reward is pocket change. Soryong asks about this golden-haired king bee, and Chelsen explains it's a mid-tier venomous bug found in jungles, about the size of a small dog, and eating its honey gives you 2 months worth of meditation gains. Soryong's imagining this dog-sized bee getting both excited and low-key scared, but Huiyun brings him back to reality. She keeps pressing her dad, and Chelsen clarifies he wasn't trying to lowball. Soryong, he thought our boy might want to see the bee in person. Soryong gets immediately hyped, asking if he's saying what he thinks he's saying. Yup, that's exactly what Chelsen meant. In Soryong's mind, this translates to you can go harvest the honey yourself, and he's done this kind of thing back in his YapTuber days. Man's practically vibrating with excitement as they head to the door, bragging that he's basically a bee expert. Chelsen knew he'd be into it. Soryong asks what the golden-haired king bee looks like, and Chelsen just says, it looks like a bee. Huiyun can only sigh at these two idiots, and just like that, the honey harvesting adventure begins. Now, Chelsen hooked them up with premium info, so they figured they'd have the place to themselves. But when they arrive, there are 2 whole clans throwing hands over the bee. Turns out both clans bought the same information. One guy asks if the person who sold it had messy hair and a big mole, and the other clan confirms it's the same dude, but they're not backing down. Hearing this, Soryong remembers those 2 scammers he overheard earlier. These bastards have been selling the info to everyone. One dude gets pissed and yells, how dare you disrespect the Sichuan Tang clan in Sichuan? Before Soryong bounced on his first mission, Chelsen hit him with the classic dad speech, stay safe out there, and don't embarrass the family name because you're representing the Tang clan now. Soryong's like, yeah, I got it. Then Chelsen gives him this look and glances to the side, so Soryong turns and sees a whole-ass lineup of dudes just standing there. That's when Chelsen drops the bomb that Soryong will be leading all these people because it's time he learns squad management. Our boy's internally screaming like, yo, what? Isn't that Wayne's job? But Chelson laughs, calling him silly and explaining that since Wayne's his partner, he automatically gets top authority. The second she says partner, Soryang's face turns into a tomato. Hwayan says she believes in him and promises to help out. He tells her he'll try his best, but honestly, he's lost as hell right now. Back to the present, our boy asks the Wong what they should do about this intel situation. Wong is pissed someone had the balls to sell Tang Clan info like it's nothing, and Hwayan's radiating murder vibes, questioning who the f would sell information that the Sichuan Tang Clan paid for. The other clans immediately recognize her as the poisonous flower, and one dude nearly pisses himself seeing an actual Tang Clan descendant standing there. He scrambles to kiss ass, saying he's from the Central Wind sect and they want zero beef with the Tang Clan, they're out. The Noble Origin sect also nopes out. Even the Jade Ghost Slayers, looking pained as hell, decide to bounce. One swears they'll find whoever sold them fake info and skin him alive. Soryang's realizing just how much power the Tang Clan name holds and asks Wong if they're good now. Wong says nah, those sketchy unorthodox groups definitely aren't giving up. He suggests camping nearby and taking shifts on watch since those bastards are probably hiding somewhere waiting. Soryang looks worried, but Wyan reassures him it'll be fine. Honestly though, he's more worried about his precious honeybees. Cut to a few moments later, and the group is spying on the bees, and damn, these things are actually cute as hell. They're rocking what looks like fuzzy coats, flying in and out of this tree trunk. Soryang gets hyped seeing the golden-haired king bees in person. Hwayan admits it's her first time seeing them too, shocked by how big they are. Our boy thinks they're adorable. Even Wong's impressed. Soryang notices the colony's pretty small, only a few hundred bees, but considering their size, that makes sense. Hwayan asks what he means by colony, so Soryang explains it's basically a bee squad. Normally, a small hive has like 5,000 to 7,000 bees. Wayne's shocked he can estimate without even going inside, and he explains he's just counting how many go in and out. Suddenly, Gu Pei shows up with intel he found where the unorthodox groups are camping. Wong asks where, and Gu Pei confirms they set up on the opposite side, just like predicted. They're chilling for now, but if shit goes down, they'll make a move. Wong decides they'll wait until nightfall to harvest honey, using the Tang Clan's signature method, burning mugwort leaves to make smoke that calms the bees. Soryang thinks that's genius, but Gu Pei points out the wind's blowing toward them, which ruins the plan. Soryang's brain immediately kicks into gear. He explains if the wind's blowing their way, it'll hide their scent, a perfect opportunity to check out the hive up close. He's already moving when Hwayan grabs his shirt like, "Boy, where are you going?" She warns him the golden-haired king bee is dangerous as hell, but Soryang's too hyped, insisting he'll just touch it once and come back. As he's trying to escape Hwayan's death grip, a pebble falls and rolls toward the hive. They both freeze, realizing they just fucked up. In literally a second, the entire colony swarms out like an angry cloud. Hwayan snatches Soryang, and they haul ass out of there. Later, they get absolutely roasted for being reckless idiots. When dusk hits, Soryang's still trying to figure out another plan. If they light the fire against the wind, they'll be stuck between the unorthodox groups and angry bees, not ideal. These golden-haired king bees are built different too. They can sense ground vibrations from over 30 meters away. Hwayan finds him deep in thought and mentions the kids tried wandering off after eating, so she brought them. Soryang thanks her and gently tells his bug babies to behave. Hwayan sits next to him, making him flustered. She asks if he's made progress, and he says he needs to observe more. She feels bad for pressuring him and apologizes. Ironically, this makes Soryang feel even more pressured. Then Hwayan spots some monkeys on the opposite side making a racket. Soryang suddenly asks if she smells something sweet. She picks up on it, and our boy realizes it might be pheromones. He urgently tells her they need to leave now because the bees are about to attack. Hwayan grabs him by the armpits like a toddler and launches him into the air. They watch as the bees swarm out, targeting the monkeys and straight up feasting on the corpses. That was way too close. Hwayan's confused about how our boy knew the attack was coming before they even heard buzzing. He explains it was the scent. Hwayan finally notices the faint magnolia smell. Soryang's impressed she can distinguish pheromone scents. Having found his answer, Soryang starts laughing like a madman, which makes Hwayan blush because his hands are on her shoulders. With a devilish grin, our boy says he just figured out how to deal with those bastards who are after his precious honeybees. Cut to some time later, and these unorthodox clan bastards are chilling around a bonfire, drinking and eating meat, when one dude asks when the Tang clan's going to show up to grab the honey. Another guy says, who knows, 3 days ago the Tang clan was snooping around everywhere, but now it's dead silent, and then adds that he thinks they'll make a move soon. Then this one guy asks if beehives are really worth all this trouble. His buddy looks at him like he's an idiot and says he must have been living under a rock. He explains that candles made from golden-haired king bee beeswax are literal treasures used only by the imperial family. The plan is to let the Tang clan take the honey and bounce, then they'll swoop in for the beehives. These scumbags are already plotting what to do after they wipe out the Tang clan. Someone brings up the poisonous flower, and they decide to keep her alive because she's hot. Their creepy asses get all excited, joking about one of them becoming the Tang clan's son-in-law. But then someone notices a smell. It's pleasant as hell, and one pervert thinks it's the poisonous flower's natural scent. They're getting all weird about it when suddenly a loud noise cuts them off. They look up and see something forming in the sky. They're terrified and confused as hell. It's a massive swarm of golden-haired bees. They immediately start running for their lives. The bees chase after them, and these dudes are screaming like little girls as they get absolutely demolished. From the other side, the gang was watching it all happen, seeing how the bees acted exactly as Soryong had said. Hwayan asks what Soryong did because she didn't expect the bees to go berserk over the flower scent. Soryong explains he basically ordered a full-scale attack using a simple trick. Hwayan's confused since our boy literally just crushed some flowers and fruits and sprinkled the juice around. Soryong clarifies the scent acts as an attack trigger. He drops the science. Pheromones are chemical signals animals use to communicate, and social insects like ants and wasps rely heavily on them. The pheromone he used is the exact scent bees release to signal an attack, called isoamyl acetate. Hwan's mind is blown that magnolias emit the same scent bees use for attack orders. But Soryong's more impressed she could recognize the scent. Hwan explains that since the Tang clan specializes in poisons, she's sensitive to smells. With the golden-haired king bees busy massacring those perverts, Soryong decides it's time to raid the hive. They cautiously approach, and Soryong brings a makeshift incense wrapped in leaves. Hwan warns it's dangerous and offers to lead as they enter. They're all blown away by the hive's size, the honeycombs hanging like a massive golden chandelier from the ceiling. It's beautiful as hell. Luckily, the bees are gone, so they can safely enter. Then Soryong notices something weird. There's no honey at all. Hwang is surprised, inspecting the honeycomb and confirming Soryong's right. It's completely empty, which is sus. Soryong also realizes there are no eggs. Hwang asks if this is connected to the missing honey. Soryong explains the bees were preparing to migrate from the start, which is why they ate all the stored honey and are carrying it in their stomachs. He thinks they sensed too many humans nearby and decided to bounce. Hwang agrees, adding that when bees prepare to migrate, they stop laying eggs since they can't care for larvae. Then Soryong spots something interesting, the back end of a bee. With this devilish grin, he asks Hwang how long he can maintain his movement technique without rest. Hwang says if he paces himself, about half a day. He's like, why are you asking? Suddenly, Yu Pei appears, screaming that the bees are coming back and they need to leave now. They haul ass out of there. Hwang tells Soryong to give up while Hwayan grabs his shirt, telling him to hurry. Gu Pei is panicking, yelling at them to get out. Something's bulging from Soryong's chest. Time passes, and yeah, that was close as hell. Wayne's grateful they escaped before the bees returned. Then she stops mid-sentence, distracted by whatever's on Soryong's chest. Soryong immediately reveals a little bee head poking out from his clothes. He explains it's the queen bee of the golden-haired king bees. Since there was no honey, he brought the one who can make it instead. Everyone goes pale, sweating bullets. The queen bee makes a cute little noise. Soryong tells Hwang the bees will soon realize their queen is missing and start chasing them. Instead of being worried, our absolute madman seems delighted, gently rubbing the queen bee's head. He tells them to run, and so begins the life or death chase with our boy basically kidnapping royalty. The scene shifts, and Hwang's got Soryong on his back, running like somebody's chasing them with a flamethrower. Oh wait, it's actually way worse because the queen bee's throwing the mother of all tantrums. Soryong's trying his best to calm her down, sweet-talking her like, baby, I promise I'll take you somewhere nice and quiet. Nobody's going to bother you there, just chill. Fast forward a few days, and these guys have been running non-stop. Nobody's sleeping. Everyone's pushing their movement techniques to the absolute max, and they're all running on pure fumes at this point. By the time they reach wherever the hell they're going, some of the Venom Blood Unit guys have already dropped out of the race. Soryong's mentally making a note to himself. Yeah, I'm definitely learning those mobility techniques when we get back. Right then, one warrior just trips and eats dirt. This poor bastard's lying there looking like a zombie, snot running down his face, and drool everywhere. Soryong's not looking much better either, with his own massive dark circles. He's hoping that once they get the queen bee far enough from her original spot, maybe the other bees will finally give up and stop trying to murder them. But Hwang is losing faith, asking if they can even escape this nightmare. 3 days later, even Hwang taps out and collapses. Now there's literally nobody left to carry Soryong, so Hwayan steps up and tells him she's got him. Our boy's trying to be all noble, like, nah, I'm good. I can run on my own. But she doesn't have time for his heroic bullshit, so she just grabs him and takes off running. Cut to the Tang clan entrance, where 2 guards are chilling when they spot someone coming. They recognize their young lady, and their jaws drop to the floor seeing how absolutely wrecked Hwayan and Soryong look, supporting each other. The guards immediately start calling for backup. All the commotion brings Muzong and Cheolson running out, and they're just stunned seeing these two looking half dead. Huyen looks like she's about to pass out any second. Cheolson immediately lays her head on his lap to heal her, then turns to Soryong with murder in his eyes, demanding to know what the hell happened. Our boy's like, "Yo, relax man. She's just exhausted from using mobility aids for 10 days straight without stopping." Soryong's in a rush though, and tells everyone they need to get to the training grounds right now. Muzong's confused as hell until Soryong pulls out the queen bee from his clothes and explains the other bees are about to swarm this place, so they need to go to the ancient tree in the training grounds. Everyone's standing there in shock except Muzong, who's actually amused by Soryong's absolute insanity. Cheolson's just staring in disbelief, like, "I sent you to get honey, and you brought back the entire queen bee." Muzong puts a hand on Soryong's shoulder and just says, "Let's go." And suddenly, Muzong yeets them both into the air. Soryong is screaming his lungs out as they're flying. When he screams again, the old man's like, "What's wrong now?" Soryong yells back that the bees are coming. Muzong looks back, sees this massive swarm, and asks if Soryong seriously brought all those bees. They're almost at the tree, so they push it into overdrive. Soryong's body can barely handle the speed, but thankfully, Muzong's got him locked in tight. They land at the ancient tree. Soryong walks up and starts explaining to the queen bee that this is the new crib he mentioned. He gently lets her go, asking if she likes it. The queen bee makes this cute little noise and then checks out the tree, then turns back to Soryong, looking all excited, basically saying, "Yo, you were right. This place is sick." Muzong suggests they dip because the swarm's about to arrive. The clan members all watch as this massive colony flies overhead. The queen bee calls out to them, and all the bees head straight for the tree. Muzong's just standing there amazed, saying in all his years he's never seen anything like this. Mission accomplished. Later on, these dog-sized bees are chugging sugar water like it's the best thing they've ever tasted, getting all revitalized. After all, you build bonds over food, right? They're lucky this world even has refined sugar. Soryong's hoping this feast helps chill the bees out, and maybe they'll start seeing him as their master. Suddenly, Soryong shouts that he forgot something. Cheolson and Muzong both give him suspicious looks, asking what. Soryong nervously asks about Hwayun. Cheolson's pissed that he's only thinking of her now but tells him they took her to rest. Then he asks if they really use mobility arts the entire way from the forest with bees chasing them. Soryong nervously confirms and apologizes, explaining they barely got 4 hours of sleep a day. Muzong suddenly asks about the Venom Blood Unit members. Soryong starts sweating bullets and admits the guys collapsed somewhere on the side of the road. He promises to go pick them up. Eventually, everyone makes it back safely. In Hwayun's room, she's already awake and looking energetic enough to sit up. Soryong's chilling by her side. Hwayun happily mentions the bees got their strength back. Soryong shares that they're currently gathering nectar from the poisonous flowers on Tang Clan Mountain. Hwayun thinks it's adorable. Suddenly, Gu-pei bursts in panicking, saying something's wrong with the bees. They're searching for something. They rush outside. The bees are scattered everywhere until they spot Soryong. Then they all swarm him and start pulling on his shirt. They're pulling so hard they literally lift him off the ground. Hwayun's jaw drops, seeing Soryong getting flown by a swarm of bees. Our boy's in the air looking absolutely ridiculous, with his legs straight and arms spread out in a T-pose. Eventually, they drop him. Soryong asks why they're making such a fuss around their hive. Something must be up. The bees nudge him, and he gets the message. They want him inside the hive. Looking around, he sees they've already built part of it. Then he notices the queen bee approaching. Soryong holds out his hands, asking if she wants a lift. He can't even move because other bees are clinging to him, one even pinching his cheeks like he's a toddler. The queen bee looks all elegant and cute. She closes her eyes and moves towards Soryong's mouth. He starts panicking but gets cut off as the queen bee straight up kisses him on the lips. He feels something get placed in his mouth and instinctively swallows it. The other bees stop clinging, and the queen bee finishes her kiss. Soryong turns red as a tomato. Embarrassed as hell, he yells at the queen bee, saying that was his first kiss and asking what the hell she's doing. Then Soryong realizes something's wrong. He collapses on the ground, asking the queen bee what she just fed him. And the bees are watching Soryong roll around on the ground while he's being microwaved from the inside. This reddish aura is spreading across his body. He's foaming at the mouth, grinding his teeth, and sweating, looking like he's about to die. Despite feeling like he's getting cooked alive, he reaches out to the queen bee with his last bit of strength, asking what the hell she fed him before passing out cold. He wakes up hearing his name. Hwan's freaking out, asking her grandfather what's wrong with him. Muzong strokes his beard all wise-like and says our boy swallowed some seriously strong elixir. After hearing that, Soryong passes out again. Muzong channels his chi to help while Hwan takes care of him with a warm towel. When he finally wakes up properly, his hair's a mess, and he asks where he is. She tells him he's in the medical wing. They found him getting dragged around by the bees and brought him here. She asks if he remembers anything. He sighs, putting his hand on his face, looking bummed out, thinking about how his first kiss in this world was with a freaking bee. Huayan can tell something's off and asks if he's okay. He tells her, nah, he's good, just that the queen bee fed him whatever she eats. Huayan asks what he ate. He doesn't know the exact name, but calls it King Bee's elixir. He explains that worker bees eat nectar and pollen, but what about the queen bee? She exclusively eats this special jelly made by the workers her entire life, royal jelly, but normal worker bees live like a month and a half, but the queen eating this stuff lives 60 times longer. Huayan's processing all this info, telling him to chill. It's a lot. Then she drops the bomb. The cultivation technique he uses is beginner level, so he couldn't absorb all the power. But since the bee honey has 2 months of internal energy, he just absorbed 60 times that, which equals 10 years of internal energy. She congratulates him on the lucky break. Soryong is hyped, repeating 10 years of internal energy when Huayan nervously suggests he check the mirror if there might be other effects. He picks it up, and his jaw drops. His skin is stupid smooth, like a woman's. He touches his face, shocked at how soft it is. Then panic sets in. Did he turn into a girl? He frantically checks down his pants and collapses on the ground with relief that his prized possession is still there. He remembers Museong saved his life by guiding his chi, so he leaves to thank him. Walking through the clan, everyone's staring at him with weird looks. The stares are pissing him off, so he just books it while people laugh. He gets to the restaurant and peeks in. His mother-in-law spots him immediately and gushes about how handsome her son-in-law looks. She teases her daughter about being jealous of his skin. Everyone's having this huge banquet when his father-in-law asks for the full story. Soryong explains the queen bee liked her new home and rewarded him by dragging him into the hive and feeding him the elixir. His mother-in-law is fascinated that even bugs know gratitude. Museong asks if they can get more since it would benefit the clan big time. Chulson agrees even the honey would be treasure, but the elixir would be insane. His mother-in-law gets all hyped, asking if he can get more. Soryong thinks it over. With regular bees, they could trick them into making royal jelly, but these intelligent bees, nah, they get wrecked. Plus, what he ate came directly from the queen, not worker bees. He's debating if he should be honest. Finally, he says he doesn't think it's possible. Everyone asks why not. He says even if someone could get it, they wouldn't want to. Chulson asks if it tastes bad. Sweating bullets. Soryong reveals the elixir comes directly from the queen's mouth, and the only way to get it is through direct contact. Basically, you have to kiss the queen bee, and she transfers it with her tongue. Everyone's shook. Museong shouts, a kiss on the bee's mouth. His mother-in-law is speechless. Chulson concludes it's impossible for anyone except the protagonist since the queen favored him. Then his fiancée, finally understanding what happened, drops her chopsticks. She's pissed, asking, a kiss on the mouth. With this absolutely murderous look, she says his name with that deadly tone, basically calling him out for kissing the queen bee while our boy's sitting there realizing he's about to get destroyed by his jealous fiancée. Then the scene shifts, and we are in this whole different place. It's nighttime, and the moon's lighting up this river near a temple. There's this dude with scarred-up hands staring at the scenery. Turns out he's Ju Junghak, the leader of the Muram Alliance, basically, the emperor of the fist. While he's zoning out, someone knocks, saying they brought tea. He snaps out of it and tells them to come in. And then this thick, gorgeous servant brings in white dew tea from Zishan. Junghak's kind of surprised because that's his hometown tea. As she's pouring it, he's about to take his first sip when someone knocks again, completely ruining his tea time. It's the military advisor, Jin Hu. The emperor puts down his cup, looking confused, asking what he's doing here this late, and lets him in. Jin Hu. And then this handsome long-haired dude walks in, apologizing for the interruption. He's got urgent news from the Tang Sichuan clan. The emperor tells him not to worry. If he rushed here, it must be important. Jin Hu drops a red scroll on the table, revealing that Enyang got his head chopped off by the Tang clan, and they scored his secret poison manual. The emperor loses it, smashing the teacup to pieces. He demands to know where and how they got the manual. Jin Hu casually explains how after Enyang got his ass kicked by the Poison King, he disappeared for a bit, then went to live in seclusion on Hainan Island. Then, with this enthusiastic smile, he drops an even crazier story. Apparently, a young warrior and his poisonous creatures killed Enyang. The emperor's shocked since he's never heard of anyone using poisonous creatures before. Jin Hu sits down, saying he's got interesting stories the leader would definitely want to hear, but then the servant starts staring at him hard with this suffocating aura. Cut to the Tang clan patriarch's hall. Everyone's seated, including Soryong, Huayan, her mom, and the great patriarch. One elder asks if it's true people sold their info to outsiders. Another elder is pissed he can't believe people are trashing the clan's reputation. Soryong's whispering to Wayne, confused why nobody's saying anything harsh to his father-in-law. She smiles, saying it's normal. The patriarch knows they messed up the clan's reputation. The collateral branch elders are mad too, but they're all family. He's already investigating and plans to go to Yingguan himself. One elder asks what poison the patriarch is going to use. The patriarch casually lists off soul-destroying poison, then blood-burning poison, then intestine-necrotizing poison, his eyes shining with straight-up malice. When they're in agony with their blood burning and organs melting, he'll finish them with 7-step soul-snatching poison. Soryang's in shock. This is straight assassin-level poison cocktail stuff. The patriarch says he's leaving immediately and tells someone to summon the Poison Annihilation Unit. Later, the Poison Annihilation Unit gathers dudes in masks and hoods. The patriarch tells his son-in-law to take care, promising he'll be back soon, and being the good, caring son-in-law that our boy is, he wishes him good luck and tells him to be careful, but the patriarch's confused. He's like, it's not me who should be careful, it's our enemies who should be careful, and heads out with the unit. Soryang asks Huiyan if that's really the Poison Annihilation Unit first time he's seen them. She confirms, saying they do hard work. With a smile, she explains their job is mainly erasing people, hence the name. Our boy's shocked, thinking, this counts as hard work? While they're talking, someone coughs. It's the Tang clan elders. Soryang and Huiyan greet them respectfully. The elders ask about his lucky encounter. Soryang nods, wondering if they're after the royal jelly. Nah, the elders are nervous, they came to ask a favor. Soryang asks what they want if it's about the bees. They get more nervous, saying no way they wouldn't covet that. One elder pulls Soryang close and whispers, asking if he remembers the ground beetle medicine. Our boy created it and has the authority. Soryang starts smiling, pulls out the medicine and starts juggling it. He says if the elders help him adapt to the clan, there's nothing he can't give them. The elders laugh, promising to help their son-in-law. Just then, the great patriarch comes out, seeing the elders laughing. Just as Soryang's about to hand over the medicine, the patriarch asks what's so cheerful. They panic and start dancing to cover it up, saying it's just a friendly gathering. The patriarch buys it, thinking they finally realize Soryang's value. Just then, someone bursts in, reporting a big problem. Everyone's curious, and the patriarch asks what. Gu Pei reveals Lord Sichuan is on the verge of death. Everyone's shocked. Soryang asks if he used the medicine correctly. So Gu Pei told the whole story of how, after seeing the effects, the city lord took a new concubine and took more than double the suggested amount. Our boy starts sweating, thinking about the consequences. The patriarch's disappointed and decides to check it out. Since Soryang's the only man left, he's entrusted with protecting the women. Our boy takes responsibility. The patriarch leaves and Soryang chills, thinking nothing can happen while they're gone. Hours later, it's night. Soryang and Huiyan are sitting on a bench. She asks how he's finding the dual origin art of the 10 poisons he's learning. He says it's easier to understand now if the 5 poisons technique felt like one big orb moving inside him. This is like a 2-cylinder engine. Huiyan realizes he must have poison tolerance now, plus he can release internal energy directly or put it into objects. Soryang's intrigued and wants to try his new technique. They set up a straw dummy. Soryang unsheathes a dagger and concentrates. Powerful green energy starts coming off his body. The first step is moving internal energy from left to right, then rotating both orbs in the same direction. Once the chi circulates through his body, he opens his eyes and throws the dagger at the dummy. It moves like lightning, piercing straight through the straw dummy. Soryang is hyped, and Huiyan praises him for imbuing chi into the dagger. The knife sticks in the wall right in front of 2 masked dudes. At first they think they got caught and should eliminate these 2, but seeing the straw dummy they realize it was a coincidence. One's holding a book, the Blood Hand Poison Art Secret Manual, saying how their job's done. So they decide to bounce before something bad happens, but they can't help but think how the Tang clan guards are idiots for neglecting the training hall security and think that the escape is going to be easy. But then this pink aroma spreads through the air. The men tense up because they don't know where it's from. Right above them is the queen bee staring at them hard, knowing these guys are intruders. So a few seconds later, screams start echoing through the area, and our boy's standing there like, what was that? While Huiyan immediately snaps her head around, saying she thinks someone's hiding in the bushes. They look over and spot these ninja wannabes, 2 crouching down trying to be stealthy, and one just standing there like a complete moron. And the queen bee's attacking one of them, and this dude's looking around all confused like, why are there bees here? Soryang and Huiyan instantly realize these are intruders. Huiyan's face goes from 0 to murder mode real quick, and she launches herself at them, screaming for Soryang to shoot the arrow. Meanwhile, the queen bee's absolutely demolishing this one guy's ear. He's grabbing at it with tears streaming down, literally begging his homies for backup. One ninja sees Huiyan charging like a goddamn missile, completely shits himself, and screams at everyone to bounce. The queen bees still latched onto one guy while the other 2 are running for their lives. Huiyan whips out her actual whip and slams it into the ground, creating this mini explosion, but these bastards dodge it like it's nothing. The guy getting violated by the queen bee pulls out his sword and goes for Huiyan. Meanwhile, the bee's still clinging to his head, and Soryang's losing his mind, screaming for her to watch out. This man unleashes a powerful attack, while the queen's literally attached to his skull, but Wayan blocks it like it's nothing. Before he can even process what happened, she counterattacks Whip to the face, creates an explosion, sends the queen bee flying, and she lands behind him all cool and collected. Dude passes out and faceplants into the dirt. Soryang's jaw is on the floor, but Hwayan just calmly tells him she's fine. Then this weird evil energy starts coming out of the knocked out guy's body. The queen bee lands on Soryang's shoulder while he's panicking about whether this dude's even alive. Within seconds, the man just dies. Wan reveals he bit down on Poison Bro had some serious secrets. She decides they need to hunt down the other intruders and tells Soryang to follow along with Gyu Pei, the Venom Blood Unit leader. Cut to nighttime in the forest. Soryang, Pa, and the clan members are chasing these ninjas through the woods. Everyone's keeping pace except Soryang, who's dying back here, sweating like crazy. He tries using his technique, stomps the ground so hard it literally breaks, and his body sinks into the ground. He starts screaming his lungs out while small centipedes crawl out of his clothes. Pei turns around confused, asking if he's good, and Soryang has literally created a massive crater. They stop to pull him out, and when he looks down, there's a bunch of green snakes just staring at him. PA explains it's a snake nest and they're extra aggressive right now, so everyone needs to be careful. Soryang admits it's his fault they got delayed and realizes it's about to rain, so they need to move their asses. Meanwhile, the masked men are pissed. They hit a dead end with a rocky mountain blocking them. Thunder's rumbling when Pai and the others show up, surrounding them completely. Pai announces their escape ends here. The Venom Blood Unit draws weapons, ninjas do the same, and they start clashing. One ninja's lightning fast and just kicks a guy right in the face. While they're distracted, Pai goes for a surprise attack. The ninja dodges, but Pai busts out triple Mirage kill, throwing his kunai. It explodes midair, splitting into 3 kunai. Ninja blocks 2, but one stabs his shoulder. Pai walks up, calling him lucky, telling him how the rain diluted his poison. Otherwise, he would be done. For just then, someone starts laughing, calling them pathetic insects. Everyone freezes. Some old bearded dude descends from the mountain, landing so hard he shatters the ground. He's radiating this evil energy with a murderous smile. Pei immediately recognizes he's a martial arts master and orders everyone to back up. The old man asks the ninja if they recovered it. Ninja pulls out a book, saying how they couldn't get the real deal but got their hands on the copy of the Enyang's secret forbidden manual. Soryang's eyes go wide, recognizing it's the Blood Hand Poison Arts secret manual the patriarch warned him about. The old man reads through it with this sinister smile. PA demands to know who he is, but the old man straight up ignores him, saying how the book is just a copy and it's missing the critical formulas, but it's enough for what he needs. He closes it, saying it's the perfect way to announce his return, then orders the ninjas to kill everyone. Bloody Glory cracks his fingers and extends his hand toward his dead companion's corpse. Red energy emerges, and blood literally shoots from the body into his palm. Pei's eyes go wide. Recognizing this technique, Soryang can't believe what he's witnessing. The ninja's eyes start glowing as he absorbs all the blood, and the kunai in his shoulder falls out. The wound heals completely like nothing happened. The old man summons an energy ball, revealing he's an elder of the blood cult, the Blood Hawk Dagger Claw, named Lord Chiank. Realizing that things are about to get messy, Soryang draws his kunai, ready for whatever's coming. Meanwhile, Guchonk locks onto him and says how it's been a long time since he's drunk the blood of someone young. So this bastard pockets the book and tells his goons to grab the Tang clan members. They got what they wanted, now it's just harvest time for some fresh blood. The ninja nods, and they both charge at Soryang and his crew. Pei pulls out his weapon, looking serious as hell, and yells at everyone to hit them with the 5-position annihilation formation. Guchonk launches himself into the air, giving off this absolutely terrifying energy, cackling like a complete maniac, and telling Pai to try and stop him. Everyone's on edge now. This psycho unleashes this massive attack that creates a huge explosion and obliterates the ground. Rocks are flying everywhere, and Soryang's covering his face from the debris. Next thing he knows, the ninja teleports behind him and locks him in a chokehold. With his eyes glowing, this dude tells Soryang to chill out since the elder wants his pure blood. Soryang's face is turning blue, but with whatever strength he's got left, he tells his babies to bite. His centipedes pop out and go to work, biting the ninja's wrists and neck. The ninja's confused as hell centipedes, then someone chucks a kunai that lands right in his skull. The centipedes bounce back to Soryang, and the ninja's body just bursts into flames. Soryang looks up, and his face lights up. It's Hwayan, the clan elder, and Wong coming in clutch. Wong's jaw clenches, realizing what's going down. Pei says with this nervous look that they're getting attacked by a blood cult elder. Hwayan's eyes go wide, she can't believe what she's hearing. She starts freaking out and books it toward them, yelling at everyone to back up Pei. Wong's right behind her, telling them to switch the formation to the 9 poison annihilation. Guchonk beats down another member and tosses him like a ragdoll. but Pei and the crew surround him with the new formation. This psycho actually smiles when he realizes Soryong's the one who killed that other blood cult guy, then starts clowning on how that legendary warrior got taken out by centipedes of all things. Wong's pissed off at this old bastard's attitude and tells him to shut his mouth, he's getting buried right here. An insane grin spreads across Gyu Chong's face as his body starts radiating this evil energy, telling them to try it if they think they're tough enough. The fight kicks off under crazy heavy rain with fire popping off everywhere. One clan member gets hurt, and Soryong wraps up his arm while the guy is screaming in pain, telling him to hang in there. Soryong's worried things are looking bad, their sides getting worn down. Gyu Chong grabs another member by the throat and starts draining his blood with this sick smile. Everyone's getting weaker, while this blood cult bastard's getting more hyped. He heals himself by drinking blood. He goes after Huan and slams her into a tree. She drops, gritting her teeth from the pain. Soryong runs over, worried about his future wife, grabbing her shoulders and asking if she's okay. She lies, saying she's good, then immediately spits blood. She grabs his hand, looking exhausted, and begs him to please head back to the clan and bring backup, saying how they can't take this guy down alone. Soryong clenches his jaw, knowing she's right. Gyu Chong attacks again, and everyone's forced to fall back. Wong nervously tells Soryong to go get reinforcements. The elder promises he'll somehow keep this bastard busy. Soryong watches with this desperate look and agrees, promising to come back ASAP. He admits his movement skills are trash, so he's not sure if he'll make it, but before he can finish, Wyan hugs him with tears streaming down her face. With this kind smile, she says she believes in him, he's been working hard. She promises next time they'll go hunt poisonous creatures together again. She puts her hands on his shoulders, asking him to please bring help, then runs back out to support the others. Soryong just stands there processing everything, then with this sad look decides to bounce. He starts sprinting back through the pouring rain, breathing hard, every step feeling heavier. He face plants on the ground, and his centipedes come out, hyping him up not to give up. Honestly, so wholesome. He pets one, thinking that even at full speed it'll take half a day, and most of the clan's heavy hitters are gone. Plus, the backup won't get here in time. The rain's coming down harder now. Soryong starts thinking, why'd they send him for help? Then it hits him. They wanted to save at least him because he's the youngest and weakest. Is this what being a martial artist is all about? He remembers the patriarch's warm smile, saying Soryong was family now. The word family keeps echoing in his head. He never really thought about it, seriously didn't think he was actually part of the Tang clan yet. But all these dope memories start flooding back, everyone's smiling and reaching out to him. They all thought he was already family. He feels embarrassed realizing he was the only one thinking he wasn't part of the family yet. Soryong smiles and pets one of his centipedes, thinking they're way too nice to be a clan of assassins. He gets up and tells the kids how it's time to save mom. The centipedes are making cute noises, hyped as hell. Soryong takes off running, determined to save them. He's got to figure something out. Blood cult members heal by absorbing energy, but the forest is loaded with poisonous snakes, frogs, and plants. He keeps running until he stops at a snake nest. He stares at it silently, cooking up a plan. The nest is packed with venomous snakes all eyeing him. One centipede starts getting mad, sensing the creatures. Soryong pets it with a smile, telling it not to worry, he'll be fine. He takes the centipedes out of his clothes and sets them on the ground. One's knocked out, the other two are crying. Without wasting a second, Soryong leaves his babies behind and starts booking it toward the snake nest. Without even thinking twice, he jumps in. All the snakes lock onto him. This confident smile appears on his face. He's about to handle this his own way, the spicy Faber way. So quick rundown, these snakes are called redneck keelbacks, aka flower snakes. They look cute as hell, but they're venomous as fuck. Soryong jumps into the nest, and within seconds, dozens of these things start wrapping around his body, chomping on his hands and legs. Unlike regular venomous snakes with those hook-shaped fangs up front, these bastards have tiny venomous fangs in the back, making it way harder to inject venom. But when it comes to how toxic they are, they're literally the most poisonous land snakes in East Asia. Soryong's sweating with this smile, asking them to bite harder. One sinks its teeth into his hand, and he's gritting his teeth. These snakes pack more venom than a black mamba. Luckily, the Tang clan's internal energy helps him resist poison, so he's going to make it through this. His centipede babies peek out, worried about their dad. Soryong tells them to relax, he'll bounce from the nest soon. His hand and arm are covered in snake bites, and he figures that should be enough, but when he tries to leave, he can't move. He looks down and realizes the snake's coiled around his legs. The man starts freaking out, this wasn't part of the plan. Out of nowhere, the centipedes jump into the nest, landing on his head and shoulders. One gets pissed and starts roaring. A snake hisses at it, making the centipede even more mad. This tiny creature jumps off Soryong's head, bites the snake, and slams it into the ground. Soryong's just watching his baby go off. The centipede beats the snake, eyes shining all happy. Soryong thanks it for scaring off the others, crouches down, realizing they were worried about him, and pets its head. The little guy climbs onto his head and knocks out. With a smile, he decides it's time to head back to mom. Back at the fight, Huiyen's exhausted but still ready to throw down. A bunch of clan members are already down. Gu Chunk grabs another one by the neck, draining his blood to get his energy back. Huiyen knows at this rate everyone's dead, foam's coming out of the guy's mouth as this bastard sucks him dry. His eyes light up with this evil smile, saying this is way too easy. He starts clowning on them, asking if there's really no one left to fight him. Huiyen pulls out her whip instead of running. She wants to keep fighting, hoping Soryong got away safe. She tells everyone to keep their distance and not lose track of him. One elder steps up with this serious look, asking Huiyen to bail with Soryong. Her eyes go wide and she refuses instantly. The clan members are arguing there's no way a direct descendant can bounce while they're fighting. If they can't save her, they can't look the patriarch in the eye. Gu Chunk cuts in, saying how he'll get bored if his toys escape. He drops with this evil grin that if Huiyen runs, he'll turn the Tang clan into hell to announce the blood cult's comeback. The elder realizes this bastard was never going to let anyone leave. Huan swears with this fired-up look she'll take at least one of his arms even if everyone dies here. The others nod. Right then, someone shows up behind them saying that's right, a clan member never ditches the others. Everyone whips around. Huiyen's jaw drops. It's Soryong. With his confident smile, he walks up to them. The elder is speechless, and Huiyen is worried, asking why he came back. Soryong takes the centipedes off his body, closes his eyes, asking them to chill here, then says again the Tang clan never gives up or abandons their people. He rips off his shirt, saying how he's a Tang clan member too. He pulls out his weapon and charges straight at Gu Chunk as he does. This excited smile pops up on the old bastard's face. Huiyen's panicking, telling him not to do it. Gu Chunk gets ready to attack. He let this idiot live, and now he's back for more. Soryong lunges, ready to strike, but Gu Chunk just grabs him by the throat with zero effort. His eyes light up as he reaches out, deciding he wants to taste his blood. He puts his hand on Soryong's stomach, but Soryong blocks with his arm. Gu Chunk starts draining blood through the arm with this evil grin, calling him an idiot. Soryong's in crazy pain. Huiyen and Pai are freaking out, and she yells at everyone to help. While Gu Chunk's sucking up blood and loving it, Pai and Huiyen rush toward them. Before they get there, he stomps the ground hard, lets go of Soryong, and uses blood-filled wave, tearing up the ground and blasting everyone back. They all go flying. Luckily, Huiyen catches Soryong midair. Gu Chionk, looking way stronger now, smiles, saying they were annoying, throwing hidden weapons around like flies, but thanks to Soryong, he handled them all in one shot. Soryong passes out. Huiyen's desperately trying to wake him up. As a thank you gift, Gu Chionk decides he'll give him a quick death. She hugs. Soryong is saying that's not happening. Then he coughs and slowly opens his eyes. Drool starts coming out of Gu Chunk's mouth as he demands to know what the hell Soryong did it to him. His hair starts falling out like leaves, and he begins aging. With this terrified look, he realizes this is some energy-draining poison. He starts losing strength, his body shaking. So he starts freaking out, saying how this shouldn't be possible. The cult's techniques are supposed to block this poison. And then this old bastard grabs his face, going absolutely insane because none of this makes sense. He demands to know who the hell Soryong even is. With a smile, Soryong sits up, points his finger at him, and tells him that he's his natural enemy. So Huiyen's relieved seeing Soryong still breathing. Meanwhile, the poison's doing its job, and this old bastard Gu Chunk can't believe he just got his ass handed to him by a child. Soryong's running on fumes, barely standing, but he manages to whisper something to Huiyen that makes her eyes go wide. Gu Chunk is staring at him, absolutely furious, completely clueless about what Soryong did to his body. Ever since Soryong's blood got into him, his blood techniques have just not been working. He takes a step forward, mumbling about how the blood cult's takeover was right there and now he's losing it. Then he goes absolutely insane and charges at Soryong, screaming he can't die here. He straight up opens his mouth to bite our boy, but just in time, Huiyen pulls out her whip, and before this psycho reaches Soryong, she swings the whip wraps around his neck. Her eyes go wide because, wait, her attack actually hit? A martial arts master like him couldn't dodge it? Gu Chunk's pissed, drooling everywhere, still confused about what happened to his powers. He explodes with rage, charging like a maniac and screaming about killing everyone and how the blood cult is back. Huiyen grips the whip tight with his furious look and tells this old bastard to shut up and die. Then she straight up rips his head off. His head goes flying and lands near Pai, who's just standing there confused until this happy smile shows up as he realizes that they actually won. The clan elder runs over, checking if they're okay. Everyone's celebrating the lady just decapitated a blood cult elder. She asks Soryong, all confused, how he made him so weak. Soryong calls her big sis, and she blushes hard, getting all embarrassed. Our boy's sweating with dark circles but still smiling, casually mentioning he needs to get bitten by a tiger-striped water snake to deal with the poison. Huiyen panics because his face is going pale, and she's like, wait, those snakes don't even have venom. She yells at everyone to grab an antidote. The scene shifts, and Soryong wakes up drooling in bed. The patriarch tells him not to move yet. Soryong is face down, asking what's happening while the patriarch uses his power on his back. Then Grandpa drops the bomb. It's been 10 days since he passed out. Our boy's in shock. Hwine mentions that thanks to him, she got to chop off that bastard's head, and then they carried his knocked-out body back. The poisoning was so bad that if Grandpa hadn't come back early, he would have been screwed. Soryong gulps, remembering his past life snake bites. He almost died twice from them. After the patriarch finishes treatment, Soryong sits up with Hwane's help. The patriarch grabs his shoulders, all curious, asking if tiger-striped water snakes really have venom and how he beat the blood cult elder. Hwayne panics, telling Grandpa to chill. Our boy's dizzy but explains, holding up 2 fingers, that these snakes are venomous with 2 types of venom, one in the mouth and another from glands in the back of their neck. Both of them are sitting there shocked because they had no idea. Soryong mentions these snakes are shy and usually run from humans, plus their fangs are tiny, so they can't inject venom as well as the other snakes. And here's a cool fact. People didn't even know they had venom until the 1980s. After hearing our boy's explanation, Muzong realizes the elder's energy draining had something to do with this. But the blood cult is known for being immune to poisons. Soryong explains his theory. The main ingredient is hemotoxin, a bleeding toxin that destroys red blood cell walls, blood vessel linings, and tissue cells. Now, what happens when you feed bleeding toxins to blood cult bastards who are basically vampires using blood for their martial arts? The blood that powered their techniques got messed up. Tiger-striped water snake venom isn't well known, but it's 5 times stronger than viper venom. Boost it with Yin Chi, and it becomes a deadly weapon. Hearing that, the patriarch's eyes go wide. He can't believe that such a powerful creature lives near Sichuan. Hwayan looks at Soryong with total admiration. Grandpa coughs, mentioning with a smile that the blood cult elder called Soryong his natural enemy. Our boy feels embarrassed because when you say it like that, it sounds like some anime protagonist stuff. He covers his mouth with the blanket, blushing. They both put their hands on his shoulders, saying natural enemy fits since he shut down the elder's powers perfectly. The patriarch thanks him for protecting the family, clenches his fist mad they attacked while he was gone, and swears to destroy them. Soryong agrees they should totally crush the blood cult. Now that they know the weakness, just collect tiger-striped water snake venom. Soryong's eyes fill with rage. They're nothing but mosquitoes. Since then, the Tang clan's been in emergency mode. Warriors got hurt, some died. The patriarch sends a messenger pigeon. Allied groups are gathering. Meanwhile, Muzong is praising our boy, saying how, considering they fought a peak martial arts master, casualties were light. But blood flowing in Jianghu again because of the blood cult worries him. And then he drops a backstory on them of how 30 years ago those bastards would rampantly kidnap people and suck their blood in order to grow stronger. By the time they got powerful enough, they pulled off a massacre. While Soryong's spacing out, the patriarch puts his hand on his shoulder, saying, this time things will be different. The Tang clan is the blood cult's natural enemy now, and hearing that, our boy is cringing, not knowing if Grandpa's doing this on purpose. Grandpa turns around with a smile, confirming it. He's got a request. Soryong says if it's clan business, he'll give it his all. So Muzong starts explaining, saying how their allies will be showing up soon, including military forces. He wants to show them Soryong's discovered poison since they figured out the weakness. Soryong's eyes widen. He respectfully says if it's for the greater good, go for it. The patriarch smiles, knowing he'd say that. Before leaving, he mentions news that'll make him happy. With a kind smile, the patriarch explains the Hall of 10,000 Poisons renovations are done. Soryong's officially running it now. He clenches his fists, all hyped, imagining himself surrounded by poisonous creatures. The patriarch also mentions they set up a sunlit pavilion to properly raise tiger-striped water snakes. You need a solid foundation. Soryong gets even more excited. Hours later, he gets to the hall, and it's gorgeous with guards at the entrance. There's a room called Toxic Creature Garden. Hwane's staring confused. Soryong explains that it means a backyard where all the poisonous creatures hang out. She gets nervous, asking if he's collecting all poisonous creatures. He says yes, and then adds how someday he'll gather the 10 great venomous creatures. Wan blushes like a tomato and runs off. Then Gu shows up looking happy, saying how, thanks to our boy, he's now commander of the poison division. Soryong's confused. Pei explains it's a brand new unit the patriarch created. Behind him are several clan members who'll work for Soryong, like finding and raising poisonous creatures. And as he heard that, drool starts falling from Soryong's mouth. Our boy's thinking this is like having pet store employees. They're really giving him full support. This brings his dream one step closer. Cut to a different location. The messenger pigeon reaches its destination, and a black-haired woman gets the message. She reads it quickly and then shrugs, saying how those bastards from the blood cult have returned, and she is sure that things won't remain peaceful anymore. The scene shifts, and we see a bunch of people heading to the Tang clan. One of the elders smiles and turns towards his lord, saying how they are close to the Tang Mansion and he is just happy that he'll get to crash at the Tang Mansion instead of sleeping on dirt like homeless warriors. Gyu's smiling too, already picturing actual beds, but Homeboy is also concerned his journey so far has been average, and so the least he wants is to bring back at least one piece of good news about the blood cult. After walking for a bit, they finally reach the Tang clan entrance, the elders practically bouncing with joy seeing the mansion. One guard spots them approaching, and his eyes go wide. He recognizes them instantly and goes, "Oh damn, it's the guests from the Muram Alliance." Jahello steps forward all smooth, closes his fan, and introduces himself. The guard bows respectfully, thanking them for coming, but then gets this nervous look on his face, saying there's something they need to know before entering. The elder asks if they have to surrender their weapons or something. The guard touches his chin, looking embarrassed as hell, but gathers his courage and tells them, "Look, this is going to sound weird, but no matter how small or insignificant a creature is, you cannot kill it here, not even bugs." Jahello's mind immediately goes to some golden Buddha statue, wondering if the whole clan converted to Buddhism or something. As the group was figuring out what the hell was up with these rules, our boy walked out with his girl. They all bow, and Jahello says it's been a minute since he saw Huan. She replies it's been exactly 1 year. Jahello asks where her grandfather is. Huan explains Grandpa went out hunting for blood cult clues and then gives them a bow, apologizing for the inconvenience. This bastard immediately goes into flattery mode, saying, "How could it possibly be an inconvenience to be received by one of Muram's 3 flowers?" Then his eyes lock onto the inconvenience by her side, and he asks about who this young guy is. Our boy introduces himself all polite, and the group was shocked because our boy had introduced himself as Wei Soryang, and they were like, "No, Tang, how could that be possible?" So Wayne explains that's because he is her fiancé. Jahello and the elders' jaws hit the floor. The dudes who came with them start losing their absolute minds. They were like, one of Muram's 3 flowers has a boyfriend, and it's this breathing mistake, and these guys are not taking it well. Even Jahello's looking envious as hell. He opens his fan, asking if they can just go inside already because at this rate, the whole squad might jump on Soryang and challenge him to a duel out of pure jealousy. Right then, the Golden King bees come flying around, and the men's jaws drop as they look up. The guards rush in front of Huan. Others draw their swords, ready to protect her. Soryang freaks out, looking panicked, practically begging them to put the weapons away. He tries explaining the Tang clan's new rules, but one guy gets pissed, shoving our boy's hand away, telling him to step aside, and saying how these golden-haired king bees can kill regular people easy. Soryang can't take it anymore and shoves the guy back, revealing with a pissed-off look that he's the one raising the bees, asking everyone to chill out, but nah, these guys are believing our boy's story. But just then, one bee lands on Soryang's head, and Jahello and the others are scared shitless, backing away immediately. But Soryang just smiles and plays with the bees like they're puppies. Huan's smiling watching this whole thing unfold. Our boy pets one gently, asking them not to sting the guests. The guards sweating bullets watching Soryang treat these death machines like they're his children. After that wild incident, they head inside. Jahello is staring at Soryang, thinking he never expected the dude from Hanan Island to be the poisonous flower's fiancé. While they're walking, Jahello sees 2 dudes straight up arguing. The black-haired guy pulls out a small vase with a venomous scorpion, saying it's way more suitable for the Tang clan. The orange-haired kid whips out a small chameleon, looking equally pissed, arguing how his lizard is just far superior and way cooler looking. While these guys are having their little Pokemon battle, Jahello is having a full-blown mental breakdown. He grabs our boy's shoulder and asks him why all these warriors are babysitting bugs and animals. Our boy explains they're serving the venomous creature companionship as punishment. Well, that did not help him calm down. Now he's sweating even harder, asking what horrible crimes these guys did to deserve that. So our boy told him what had happened a few nights ago. He was training with H1 when Gyu showed up, tensed as hell, saying how they have a problem explaining more than half the baby rats they captured to feed the tiger-striped water snakes had died. Soryang let out a sigh, saying there's not much they can do since rats are naturally jumpy if things get noisy. The mother sometimes kills them. But that's not actually what had happened because the warriors ate the rats. So now our boy is all confused and asked him why anyone would eat rats, but folks, it gets worse. Gyu explained they ate the rats as snacks while drinking. So now our boy was speechless. He can't process that these warriors ate the baby rats as bar food, but Huan gets the picture. She explains that those idiots must be playing. 3 screeches. So naturally our boy is like, what's that? Huan explains that it's a game where they dip live baby rats in sauce and eat them while they're still squeaking. Soryang was frozen, trying to process this absolute insanity. He stared with pure disgust, finally realizing the baby rats he caught as snake food got eaten by the warriors. He was furious knowing he had to do something to teach these idiots to value living creatures. And that's how the Tang clan established the venomous creature companionship punishment. Back in the present, Soryeon explains each warrior is now responsible for raising a venomous creature. Jegel's finally got his answer, but now he's interested in our boy. Cut to hours later in the meeting hall. Our boy Gramps and the new guy were sitting across from each other. For whatever reason, Jegel was here. He decided to start with flattery and said Soryeon must be that mysterious treasure Gramps met on Hanan Island. Gramps nods, saying he's more than a treasure, saying calling him mysterious doesn't even do him justice, those bees were insane. Then the conversation shifts to the serious mode. Jegel says how it's concerning they haven't found a single blood cult clue and adds how they can't let those bastards grow any stronger. Gramps nods, then turns to our boy and orders him to bring that thing. The patriarch holds up a finger, creating a chi barrier around them, explaining they can't risk any sound leaking out, and then Soryeon pulls out a small jar and puts it on the table. Jegel grabs it, mind racing, asking what object needs a whole chi barrier for secrecy. The patriarch says it's a poison that makes internal energy disappear. Jegel argues that internal energy poison is pretty common, it hardly needs a chi barrier. Soryeon and the patriarch look at each other, nodding with smiles, revealing this poison only works on blood cult members. Jegel's eyes go wide. He panics, slamming his hand on the table, asking if this is for real, because if it is, then it's perfect, because the main reason they got wrecked so hard during the rebellion 30 years ago was because the blood cult used internal energy poison against them. The patriarch confirms what everyone suspected when martial artists got poisoned. Their energy vanished, leaving them powerless, but blood cult members stayed fine. Jegel asks seriously what this version's strength is. The patriarch says that according to Wine, the poison drops their abilities to a regular person level. She beat a poisoned blood cult elder with one hit. Now this is where he completely loses it because he has thought that the poison would be lethal. But that's just too much. He immediately bows, saying how this gift is way too precious, and thanks to that, their alliance could now breathe easily. Gramps says if he wants to thank someone, thank Soryeon he made this discovery, poisoned himself to bait the elder into absorbing his blood, and was basically dying for 10 days straight. Jegel's eyes widen with respect, thinking this guy has crazy wisdom and balls of steel. He puts his hand on Soryeon's shoulder, looking grateful, saying if he has any wish, just ask whatever it is, he'll personally tell the alliance leader. So this idiot thinks hard for a second and then says, can he get info on the venomous creature? Jegel's confused. Soryeon's interested in bug info, not martial arts techniques, magic pills, or treasure, and as he said that, Gramps starts laughing his ass off. Meanwhile, Jegel was thinking about how our boy is truly unique, so he pauses for a second, turns to him, and asks our boy if he will be interested in a mythical stone lizard. So we're up in the mountains somewhere, and this long-haired dude turns to his uncle and goes, yo, we made it. They're standing on Mount Ganga, and the nephew's geeking out because everything matches what their ancestors described. The waterfall, some turtle-shaped rock, and in the distance, you can see the mountain summit. Jegel walks up to the water, dips his finger in, and immediately regrets it because that shit's freezing. He tells his men to stay put and signals his nephew Chin to follow him. Chin's eyes light up, and they both start hopping across the water towards the waterfall like they're in a damn kung fu movie. They reach the waterfall, and Jegel peeks behind it, remembering that past the turtle rock, if they climb up the cliff, there should be an entrance by some fist-shaped rock. Chin's jaw drops because everything matches the records perfectly. They share a look, nod, and boom, they find the entrance. Jegel goes in first with Chin right behind him, and this kid can barely contain his excitement. Inside the cave, the walls are covered in herbs, and Jegel's walking carefully while Chin's over here looking like he just discovered Narnia. Jegel pushes aside some vines, and both their eyes go wide. They've reached the heart of the cave, where there's a hole in the ceiling letting sunlight pour in, and it looks absolutely mystical. The place is packed with spiritual herbs, and Jegel realizes this is the perfect environment for them to grow. Then his eyes lock onto this flower-shaped herb. It's a century-old snow lotus, a spiritual herb that's absorbed extreme yin energy. Chin explains they need to trade this for the dark wolf flower from the Namong clan. Jegel nods, saying this should help cure the Namong clan leader's daughter's meridian issues, and in return, they'll get that 200-year-old dark wolf flower. Easy trade, right? Wrong. The second Jegel reaches for the herb, they hear this whistle, and his whole expression changes. Something hidden in the rock starts charging at him at lightning speed. Jegel barely blocks the attack with his fan, and this creature starts bouncing off the rocks like a pinball. Chin's freaking out, asking if his uncle's okay, and Jegel yells at him to be careful because whatever this thing is, it's fast as hell. The creature tries attacking from behind, but Jegel spins around and blocks it again. Except this time, the tip of his fan freezes over. He's staring at his frozen fan, looking confused as hell, when Chin asks what they're even fighting about. Jegel stays quiet for a second, wondering what the hell attacked them, and then he realizes that it's a damn lizard. Chin's eyes nearly pop out of his skull. He can't believe that a lizard did all this. Then this blue lizard shows itself, and it's ready for round 2. Back to the present, and Jegel's telling this whole story to Soryang. Our boy's jaw is on the floor because blue lizards are rare as hell. Even Graham's smiling because he knows Soryang's obsessed with poisonous creatures. Jegel asks seriously if Soryang's sure the lizard isn't poisonous and if it's safe. Our boy's practically drooling, eyes shining, and he's like, nah. It's cool, the lizards have poisonous chi in their eyes, not their bodies. Grams has no idea what our boy just said but praises him anyway. Jegel forces a smile, realizing Soryang's definitely a weirdo. Seeing how interested our boy is in venomous creatures, Jegel promises that if he hears about any other toxic creatures, he'll let Soryang know immediately. Soryang's eyes light up like fireworks, and he thanks him genuinely. The next day, the patriarch comes rushing back looking stressed as hell. He barges into the mansion to check if Soryang's okay. Inside, Soryang, Huiyan, Jegel, and the great patriarch are just chilling with tea when the patriarch bursts in. Soryang asks if something's wrong, and the patriarch immediately grabs his face and starts turning his head in every direction, inspecting him for injuries. Huiyan stands up looking confused. Soryang's equally confused and tells him he's fine. Then with a smile, he shows off all the snake bites covering his arms, casually mentioning that yeah, he was knocked out for 10 days and woke up with scars, but hey, at least he's alive. The patriarch's eyes ignite with rage, smoke practically coming out of his nose because those blood cult bastards dared to hurt his precious son-in-law. Then he notices Huiyan and spins around, asking if she's okay. She panics and tells him to calm down, explaining that she's fine because Soryang and the family saved her. The great patriarch clears his throat and reveals that Soryang did something incredible after knocking out that elder. He declared himself the blood cult's natural enemy. Soryang looks away, embarrassed, while the patriarch is grinning with pride. Soryang nervously explains that his plan just happened to work out. The great patriarch adds that thanks to that, they discovered the blood cult's weakness. Jegel raises his hand and asks the patriarch how he's been. The patriarch realizes Jegel's there and shakes his hand. Since Jegel climbed to a high position, they haven't talked much, and now they're meeting under these circumstances. Jegel apologizes for being so busy. Soryang and Huiyan watch them, smiling, and she mentions their childhood friends. Soryang's stress levels are rising because this whole situation is chaotic. Jegel asks the patriarch to sit since they need to discuss the blood cult. The patriarch agrees but tells Soryang and Huiyan to sit too since they're part of this conversation. Soryang gets nervous but nods, while Huiyan's just smiling. Everyone sits, and the patriarch asks about the progress on finding the secret agent. Soryang interrupts, asking what secret agent they're talking about, like, is this a spy situation or what? The patriarch explains seriously that the blood cult infiltrated to steal their secret blood and poison claw manual. Soryang's eyes go wide, and he asks how they even knew the Tang clan had it. Then it hits him. He slams his hands on the table, stands up sweating, and says there must be someone inside the clan leaking information to the blood cult. Everyone stares at him surprised. Jegel puts a hand on the patriarch's shoulder, and with a smile, suggests he educate his son-in-law since the newcomer clearly doesn't understand certain things, though he's finding these theories pretty amusing. The patriarch strokes his mustache, looking disappointed. Soryang's sweating, realizing he's the odd one out. Huiyan kindly explains that secret agents can't exist in the Tang clan. Soryang asks if she's serious. The patriarch explains they do exhaustive background checks on everyone, even when hiring servants. They investigate all direct and distant relatives. If approved, they incorporate the relatives into the clan, and their children are raised within it. Under these circumstances, no one would dare betray them. Soryang's mind is blown by these extreme measures. He asks who the secret agent actually is. Somewhere else, a muscular dude named Ju Jung-hak is strangling a woman by the neck, and not in a fun kind of way. She might enjoy it, but we don't know. Jiggle holds up a finger, explaining that only 3 people in the Alliance knew about this, and by now, the Alliance leader should have already captured her. Back at the Tang clan, things are stabilizing when an unexpected guest shows up at the gates. The guard is trembling with fear. The guest mentions he ran all the way from Hebei to Sichuan without using martial arts, and it was pretty fun. He pounds his chest excitedly and tells the guard to inform the patriarch that Pang Muin, head of the Pang clan, has arrived. The scene shifts, and we see Soryang and Huiyan running towards the clan entrance, and everyone's staring at them, wondering what the hell's going on. Soryang's asking Huiyan if it's cool for him to go welcome whoever's at the gate, and she turns around with this sweet smile, explaining her dad and the others are busy with important stuff. Then her eyes light up, and she nervously tells him that as the Tang clan's son-in-law, he needs to have more confidence. Our boy's sweating bullets, but he keeps running. When they reach the doors, Soryang's thinking it's probably just guests from another clan, so there's nothing to worry about. Meanwhile, the guard outside looks like he's about to shit himself. Soryang opens the door with a smile, and he's face to face with Pai Muon and his crew, all staring him down with the most serious expressions. Our boy's confidence evaporates instantly. Pang Muan's eyes go wide when he spots Huyen. He puts his hands on his hips and smiles, remembering he last saw her when she was tiny. Huyen bows respectfully, greeting him while he's going on about how much she's grown and how he barely recognizes her. Huyen forces a smile and says that was 5 years ago. Then Pang Muan's face gets serious, and his attention shifts to Soryang. He wants to know who this kid is. Our boy starts sweating but introduces himself as the Tang clan's son-in-law, and Pang Muan just stares at him, touching his chin like he's deep in thought. Then this absolute madman grabs Soryang by the cheek and asks if he's really Huyen's fiancé. Soryang's panicking, and Huyen covers her mouth while nodding with a smile. Pang Yuan's expression gets even more serious. Without any warning, he reaches down and straight up grabs our boy's PP. Soryang turns as red as a tomato, and Huyen's jaw drops to the floor in shock. Pang Muan's nodding to himself, explaining he was wondering if Soryang was too young. But nah, down there he's a full-grown man. Soryang's panting and looking at Huyen like, what the fuck is happening right now? Pang Muan pats Soryang on the head, gives him a thumbs up, and says in a few years this kid's going to be incredible. Huyen's face goes red, and she's covering her eyes, remembering that the Pang clan doesn't give a damn about formalities or proper etiquette. The clan head has his own way of evaluating people. His men are all staring at Soryang now, impressed as hell. One guy even bends down to get a closer look at our boy's package. Soryang's looking away, feeling depressed, but then he's like, okay, this is just their style, one man recognizing another man's potential, right? So he thanks Pang Muan for the compliments with the most forced smile ever. Pang Muan bursts out laughing, saying Soryang's different from those useless brats in other noble clans. He slaps our boy on the back so hard it actually hurts and introduces himself properly as the head of the Pang family. Soryang welcomes them to the Tang clan, and while they're talking, Huyen's in the background sweating and wondering what universe she's living in. Huyen asks how they got here so fast from Hebei. Pang Muan's face goes serious, and he explains they actually didn't come to help. Wait, does the Tang clan have problems? He starts inspecting Soryang's hair, asking if something happened. Huyen's sweating because she has no idea why Pang Muan's even here. They head to the family mansion, and Pang Muan is surprised when he hears about the blood cult showing up. They sit down for tea, and Huyen tells him the cult's already been dealt with. Pang Muan sighs, annoyed he didn't get here earlier for some action. The patriarch asks what brought him here. Pang Muan explains he got distracted by the blood cult story, but he actually came hoping the Tang clan could help him with something. Pang Muan calls for his men to bring her in to greet the elders. The door opens, and one of his men walks in and pulls out this adorable creature from his back, but she doesn't want to come out because she's sleepy. Soryang's eyes go wide as this adorable little girl in white climbs down, eating a lollipop. She greets everyone sweetly, introducing herself as Pang Yang. Pang Muan picks her up with this proud smile, introducing her as his daughter. Both Soryang and Huyen are confused as hell because this girl looks nothing like her gorilla of a father. She's literally a miracle of genetics. Pang Muan laughs, saying people always give him that look because they're so different. He gets serious and explains his daughter's been feeling unwell, asking if the patriarch can examine her. The patriarch asks if she's sick, and Soryang notices this weird energy coming off the girl's body even as she's munching cookies. That night, Soryang's lying in bed with his little centipedes crawling on him, thinking about the girl's symptoms. Earlier, they had her sit in a chair while everyone examined her. Pang Muan explained she sometimes has trouble breathing, gets big red spots on her body, and in severe cases passes out completely. The patriarch examined her while Pang Muan ranted about how he'd taken her to medical sect disciples and they all said she was healthy. One disciple said something about possible poisoning, and Pang Muan almost beat him to death. The old man nods, saying how that would be ridiculous because that means someone within the clan harbors ill intention towards them, but Pang Muan freaks out, swearing no one in his clan would do that. Jegal jumped in, saying poisoning doesn't always mean someone deliberately did it. The patriarch offered them a guest residence so he could observe the girl's condition. Back in the present, Soryang's thinking this looks like childhood diabetes. The girl's literally eating sugar nonstop, but he's not sure if diabetes causes red spots. As he was thinking about that, someone knocks on his door, saying there's a big problem. Our boy gets up and asks what's up. The maid told him that little Pang Ying collapsed. Soryang throws on his clothes and runs over. When he arrives, the girl's unconscious, face red and breathing heavily. Pang Muan's holding her, panicking. Huyen explains the girl was sitting in the pavilion, started coughing, and then collapsed. The patriarch says since she collapsed here too, there's no spy in the Pang clan. Without hesitation, Pang Muan punches himself in the jaw so hard a tooth flies out. He's bleeding, apologizing for even momentarily suspecting his own people. His men start crying and hitting themselves too because they failed to protect the young lady. So now teeth are flying everywhere. The patriarch's begging them to calm down, and Hwayan's asking Soryong to tell them what they should do. Our boy raises his hand and shouts for everyone to chill. He tells them there's a way to identify the cause and prove no one's guilty. Everyone's attention shifts to him. Soryong sits down next to the girl, staring at her intensely. Then, mustering his courage, he says they need to remove Miss Pang's clothes. Hearing that, the patriarch and Hwayan freeze completely, absolutely petrified, while the gorilla man is giving him looks that could literally kill someone. And then he grabs our boy by the collar, ready to put him 6 feet under the ground. Sensing hostile intentions, his centipede buddies pop up, but Soryong tells them to chill. On the other hand, the father-in-law was telling Pang Muon to calm down. He admits that what our boy said was crazy, but he thinks that there would be a reason behind it. Meanwhile, Hwayan is begging Lord Pang to at least hear Soryong out before he commits murder. After some tense back and forth, Pang Muon finally lets go, saying that he'll hear whatever justification Soryong has for suggesting they strip his young daughter naked. Our boy catches his breath and sits down. He explains he meant they should change Young's clothes because something in what she's wearing or carrying might be causing her to collapse randomly. Pang Muon's jaw literally drops. He completely misunderstood and thought our boy was being a creep. He's about to punch himself in the face again for doubting Soryong's intentions, but our boy panics and stops him, like, "Please stop hitting yourself." Then Soryong told him that from now on, the young lady will be under the Tang clan's full care, and all contact with the Pang clan is completely restricted. The patriarch and Hwayan are shocked, and Pang Muon points at himself, asking if that includes him too. Soryong nods, explaining that if his daughter shows the same collapsing symptoms while under their care, it proves the cause isn't related to anything at the Pang clan. In his mind, our boy is thinking how this is basically a controlled environmental adjustment that breeders use sometimes. In his past life, Soryong raised a chameleon and constantly wished it could just tell him what hurt instead of him having to play detective and guess. Since humans obviously can't communicate with animals directly, you systematically change their environment piece by piece to identify what's making them sick. That's exactly what he plans to do with Young. This bastard is planning to treat her like one of his exotic pets. The patriarch strokes his beard, genuinely impressed and praising Soryong's brilliant idea. Pang Muon hugs his daughter with literal tears streaming down his face, desperately begging Soryong to take good care of her. Our boy confidently promises he will, thinking to himself smugly that he's raised countless creatures over the years. A little girl should be absolutely nothing in comparison. Yeah, he's about to learn that lesson the hard way. The next day, Young wakes up crying her eyes out, and Soryong's in full panic mode because this is not as easy as he thought it would be. She's been crying nonstop since she regained consciousness, and Hwayan and his mother-in-law are out gathering supplies, leaving him completely alone with this unpredictable tiny human. He desperately asks if she's sleepy or hungry, trying anything, but she just keeps wailing. After several painful minutes of this, he asks if she's crying because her dad's not here, promising her that Lord Pang just went to get medicine and will be back soon. She puffs up her cheeks and says she wants sweets. Our boy's sweating buckets. She's not crying over her father or being sick. She's throwing a tantrum over candy. She wails dramatically that all her sweets are gone and she's all alone now. Soryong remembers that Hwayan discovered Young had hidden pockets absolutely stuffed with candy when they changed her clothes earlier, so he told her that she just woke up after collapsing, so no sweets right now. She needs to eat rice porridge to recover, but if she eats well and behaves herself, he'll personally make candied fruit skewers for her. Her eyes instantly light up, and she promises to be super good, saying the Pang clan always keeps their promises, and if she breaks hers, he can hit her right in the face. Soryong's genuinely disappointed, wondering why the hell the Pang clan is teaching young kids to make promises like this with physical violence as the punishment. Days pass, and Pang Muon is literally hiding in the bushes, watching Young play with bees from a distance. His eyes are full of tears, because he can only spy on his own daughter from afar due to the strict no-contact rule. Soryong finds him and asks what the hell he's doing. Pang Muon pulls him down into the bushes, urgently asking how Young's doing. Soryong says she's eating really well and being surprisingly obedient. Pang Muon's absolutely shocked when he hears she devoured an entire plate of fried pork all by herself, his little girl. Then Hwayan suddenly appears, saying Young's asking where older brother Soryong went. Pang Muon absolutely explodes with pure fury. She's calling him older brother already. Meanwhile, he never got to have a proper conversation with his own daughter, but sensing the danger, our boy bolted out of there. Our boy heads to the training grounds, where Young's playing happily with the golden-haired king bees. She's giggling adorably as they climb all over her and lick her cheeks affectionately. Soryong's smiling because these creatures helped him bond with her super quickly. They're like the ultimate icebreaker. He realizes the bees absolutely love Young. Because she spilled sugar syrup all over herself earlier, they might literally be mistaking her for food just then. The queen bee emerges from the hive, and Young points excitedly at her. Soryong tells her not to bother the queen since she's busy running the whole operation. He's thinking to himself that taking care of kids actually isn't so bad. It's kind of like having a younger sister. Then Yang says there's another bee approaching, and Soryong casually warns her to be careful since some of them sting, and in the next second, she is suddenly screaming she's been stung. Our boy absolutely panics and runs over, checking the small sting mark on her arm. Then his eyes go completely wide with realization as Yang starts gasping heavily, her entire face turning bright red. She says she feels really cold and then collapses. Soryong catches her before she hits the ground and it finally clicks. This is anaphylactic shock. It's a severe allergic reaction triggered by an overreaction from the immune system, when your immune system decides to absolutely lose its mind. Like, normally when something sketchy enters your body, it releases histamine to fight off the bad guys. But sometimes your body's immune system overreacts, and if you're unlucky enough, you could literally die from it. Back to the present, and Soryong is sprinting towards the mansion with Yang passed out on his back. He finally makes it and starts screaming his lungs out for the clan head, yelling about how Yang has fainted again. Everyone comes running out looking worried as hell, asking what happened. Meanwhile, the gorilla dude is absolutely freaking out, and without wasting a single second, he starts transferring his internal energy to her. Seeing this, our boy finally relaxes a bit, thinking how normally you'd need advanced medicine or some hardcore steroids to treat anaphylaxis, but thank God the cultivation energy actually worked. Cheolson examines Yang and says her symptoms are exactly the same as all the previous times. This catches Pang's attention, and he asks our boy what the hell happened since he was right next to her. Soryong tells him she got stung by a bee. Both the dads are shocked, but then Cheolson's like, yeah, that could be possible, but we still can't figure out what's really causing her to pass out like this. That's when our boy drops the bomb. He's figured out what's been causing it all along. He says he was able to identify the cause because she got stung. Pang's standing there looking confused as hell, so he tells our boy to just spit it out already. Soryong goes, well, to tell you, we need to take her clothes off. And naturally, he gets bonked for that one. Cut to some time later, and Huang and her mother-in-law walk out of the room, confirming that what our boy said was actually true. Yang does have spots all over her body, plus there are some old and new wounds too. Things get awkward for a second before Pang apologizes to our boy, then asks him, now that we got that cleared up, can you tell us what's causing my daughter to lose consciousness? Soryong's like, it's bee venom. But Pang immediately shuts that down, saying that's impossible because there are literally no bees in his residence. Our boy agrees, saying, yep, you're right, it's not a bee sting, because anyone would be able to tell that at first glance. At the same time, he's thinking how Yang symptoms are clearly anaphylaxis. In the next second, our boy's brain is literally on fire. He's going full detective mode, trying to figure out what poisonous creatures aren't bees but have bee venom, something with melittin or peptides that triggers swelling and makes you stop breathing. He closes his eyes and starts imagining the forests of Hebei province in China with its temperate climate, and a whole lineup of poisonous bastards starts appearing in his mind like he's browsing a deadly creature catalog on Amazon. The white-lipped pit viper, the Chinese cobra, the Chinese scorpion, the Chinese red ant, and the red-chested ant. Soryong touches his chin and immediately crosses out the snakes and scorpions from his mental list. Meanwhile, Pang, Muon, and the patriarch are just standing there staring at him with their eyes wide open, wondering what the hell this guy is doing right now because he looks like he's having a full-on conversation with the voices in his head. Then our boy starts imagining little Yang stuffing her face with sweets. He needs to figure out where she'd constantly get bitten by this mystery creature, something tied to her daily routine. Then it hits him. This girl is absolutely obsessed with candy, like clinically addicted. His eyes go wide as he remembers that Yang had a secret stash pocket in her clothes just to hide sweets from everyone. He can't help but smile because he's cracked the damn code. He stands up with absolute confidence, saying he's 100% sure it's bee venom and asking them to just trust him on this. Wei-Yin's staring at our boy with complete confusion written all over her face. Pang's getting pissed off again, pointing out for the second time that there are literally no bees anywhere in the Pang clan residence. Zero, none, zilch, nada. Soryong turns to them with this smug, confident-ass smile and drops some knowledge. Anyone from the Tang clan knows venom doesn't affect everyone the same way. For some people, even a microscopic amount could straight up send them to the afterlife, while others could tank 10 times that dose without breaking a sweat. Pang's jaw drops, and he starts sweating because he doesn't understand a single word coming out of Soryong's mouth right now. The man's speaking straight facts, but it sounds like alien language to him. The patriarch reaches out and backs our boy up with a sincere look, saying Soryong's absolutely right since even with identical poison, the effects vary wildly from person to person. That's just basic toxicology 101. Soryong spreads his hands out like he's teaching a class, explaining that as they just witnessed firsthand, Yang is extremely sensitive to bee venom, like dangerously so, on a whole different level. Wan's just listening silently while Pang and the patriarch nod along like students taking notes. Soryong's eyes are glowing with confidence now. He taps his head with his finger and says, "One thing's for damn sure. She's vulnerable as hell to bee venom. But since there are 0 bees in their house, that leaves only one logical possibility." Pang's watching our boy intensely and can't stop sweating buckets. Meanwhile, somewhere else in the manor, the queen bee's just chilling on the ground with this tender look, lying next to another bee, like they're having a romantic moment. These insects are literally having a better love life than most of us. Soryong reveals that the culprit is indeed a bee, but a very special type that nobody's thinking about. Several hours later, when night falls, Soryong is crouched on the ground next to some rocks, looking like Sherlock Holmes on a stakeout. Hwayan's holding up a fire lamp to light the area, and the patriarch's standing behind them watching. The patriarch is observing our boy with a confused expression, probably thinking this dude's lost it. Pang's eyes go wide with curiosity, and he asks if Soryong's actually sure this is the right spot. Soryong's eyes shine with pure confidence as he smiles and says he's absolutely certain this is the place. He asks Hwayan if she can shine the light a bit closer. Hwan's eyes widen with curiosity as she's holding the lamp, and she nods. Soryong drops a piece of candy on the ground like bait, straight up fishing for insects now, and not even a few seconds later, several tiny ants crawl out from between the stones and start going to town on that candy like it's an all-you-can-eat buffet. One of the ants starts attacking and eating another ant who's desperately calling for backup. Using some chopsticks like tweezers, Soryong carefully grabs the aggressive ant, and with a confident look reveals that this little bastard right here is the culprit they've been searching for all along. Pang Muon's and the patriarch's attention locks onto the ant. They're in complete shock because this insect is an ant, not a bee. What the hell is going on? Soryong tells them to look closer because this ant is actually a collateral relative of bees. Pang starts examining the ant super carefully. Having absolutely no clue what Soryong's talking about with this collateral relative nonsense, the man's probably thinking, do insects have family trees now? A few seconds later, the patriarch's eyes suddenly widen in shock. The tiny ant's pissed off now, and when they look closely, they notice it has this massive stinger on its ass, like disproportionately huge. They cannot believe an ant has such a huge stinger. That's not normal ant behavior at all. The patriarch finally gets what Soryong meant by collateral relatives. It's like the cousin nobody talks about at family gatherings. Pang's jaw is hanging open, staring at this ant with its freakishly large stinger. Soryong looks at them and reveals that this creature is the collateral relative of the bee that's been causing Yang to collapse all this time, a legit stinger ant. Pang's staring at the ant and sweating bullets while the patriarch's still in shock, trying to process this information. This ant is the real culprit behind Yong's condition, and it belongs to the order Hymenoptera, family Formicidae, better known as the Asian needle ant. Now you guys must be wondering what the hell ants have to do with stingers, but it's actually pretty simple. These bastards share ancestry with hornets, like they're literally cousins in the insect family tree. In fact, studies on the venom of stinger ants and bees have shown that people who suffered anaphylaxis from stinger ant venom also tended to react in the exact same way to bee venom. Soryong grabs the ant with the chopsticks, making it absolutely furious, and points at it with his finger, saying how he doesn't believe the ant was targeting Yang specifically. Most likely they were after the common ants who were after the sweets Yang was carrying, and since the bitten area looks like a mole, they had absolutely no way of knowing what had really stung her. And by the time Yang regained consciousness a few days later, they just assumed it was a leftover spot from something insignificant, like a mosquito bite or whatever. Hwayan's eyes widen in surprise and his jaw drops. Now everything makes perfect sense, and nobody would have thought that Yang had been collapsing. Then he turns to the patriarch and asks if he can make an antidote. The patriarch says that there is an antidote for bee venom, but in cases like Yang's, where the body is highly sensitive to the toxin, the antidote often doesn't work effectively. But you know what'll work? I'll like the video to help Mamoru make more juicy content, and don't forget to activate that cheeky little bell so you never miss an upload.